What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
4SS. Chapter 63. Fortunately, Kizaru didn't get kicked, the marine executives were shocked. Advertise here. Doflamingo was worried that Kaido would continue to make trouble, but he didn't even say a word in the end, rolled up the beast's pirate's boat and left directly. He was seriously injured, and the fight with Shaen made Kaido have no mind to think about anything else. Looking at the devastated Dressrosa Island, Doflamingo smiled wryly, but also heaved a sigh of relief. That's terrible, 4 emperors. That Shaen's strength is too strong, he is only so old, and he is not as strong as in the previous rumors. No matter what, it's Xingtu who can fight Kaido to such an extent. Lasers, flying, illusory giants, and the last crimson aura, can have such weird moves, isn't he really a capable person? From hockey, comprehend such an ability in the 6 forms. What kind of genius must that be? It's not an exaggeration for a god to be reincarnated. They're done, but our place. The members of the Don Quixote family stood in the flower field and looked down, they couldn't help talking about the battle just now. The terrifying battle between Kaido and Shaen, all kinds of weird and powerful moves are deeply imprinted in their hearts, especially the terrifying confrontation between the two in the final decisive battle. It is simply a natural disaster drama. Whether it's the town below, or the mountains on the other side of Derizaros, most of them are devastated, and there are only a few places that were swept by Shaen's light cannon. I will be responsible for all losses. Seeing this, Doflamingo's face was always ugly. There were almost no results in today's battle, but it also made him certain that the emerging power of Marine was strong enough to wrestle with the 4 emperors, and Shichibukai's summoning seemed to have to go. Dover, let's activate those guys from Toy House and restore the kingdom. During the discussion, everyone was in a state of shock, but soon Toribel also came over to make a suggestion. No answer from Doflamingo. Suddenly, a change appeared. A group of bright rays of light suddenly appeared and condensed in the flower field. A tall man in a yellow suit and the cause of justice appeared. CO6 Army Admiral. The members of the Don Quixote family were subconsciously taken aback, their eyes fixed. Doflamingo also did not expect that Admiral would arrive shortly after Shaen and Kaido left, and was about to say something. Suddenly, another white cold air pierced rapidly and landed beside Kizaru, the elements gathered together, it was like Marine Admiral Aokiji. Here, the fight is so fierce. Aokiji glanced over, feeling a little startled. Dressrosa Island seems to have been baptized by artillery fire, leaving various traces of battles. It should be that Shaen and Kaido had a conflict. Doflamingo, what about them? Kizaru was also shocked, and then ignored the others and asked Doflamingo. Let's go. Hey, you guys are really timely. Doflamingo replied with a half smile, but facing these two, he didn't have the fear he had before Shaen and Kaido. Let's go. What's going on in the battle? Kizaru and Aokiji came here in a hurry, and they ran non-stop, but they didn't see Kaido or Shaen on the way. Then why did the two of them leave so quickly? Humph. Shaen and Kaido had a big battle. The two used their huge abilities and kept increasing their power. As you can see, my Dressrosa Island is the result of their battle. You Marines hide an Emperor-level combat power, are you still ashamed to come here to ask the teacher? Or are you going to take care of the aftermath? Doflamingo didn't seem too polite, he briefly introduced the battle and wanted the world government to help with the construction. Report the aftermath yourself to the world government, don't forget you're still a Shichibukai, but I think we'll have to finish the assembly order, Doflamingo. Kizaru replied lightly. Imperial combat power. We are here to support Shaen. As you said, how did they fight? Aokiji went on to say that knowing that both Shaen and Kaido had left, which meant that Shaen himself was safe at the moment, he relaxed a little and planned to get to know Doflamingo clearly. Doflamingo looked at the 2 admirals who arrived late, and said, there is no result. In fact, he was thinking that if Aokiji and Kizaru came at the right time, would there be a chance to kill Kaido? What do you mean no result? Aokiji and Huang Yuan were very surprised. What kind of answer is this? Could it be that Shaen can really mediate with Kaido? You Shaen showed unparalleled strength and fought Kaido here. Look at my Dressrosa Island. Doflamingo sneered lowly, pointed at the surrounding scene, thinking that Kizaru and Aokiji were pretending. Being able to fight Kaido on equal footing, the aftermath of the powerful battle destroyed Dressrosa Island like this, which is enough to show how terrifying Zanjan's strength is. Such a powerful strength, the 2 admirals who are high level do not know. Hearing this, Aokiji and Kizaru looked at each other, and the surprised look made Doflamingo frown slightly. But he continued. The 2 of them had a big battle, and finally they used a red kicking kick, which seriously injured Kaido. Hey, that's really powerful, even the strongest creature was almost kicked to death. After that, Shaen left on his own, and so did Kaido. Doflamingo didn't go into details, but he told the 2 admirals about the battle. Will Kaido be seriously injured? Kizaru, Aokiji was shocked. Everyone predicts that Shaen can compete with 4 emperors, and the strength of Admiral is about the same. Using some moves can also reach a very scary level, but it can be said that Kaido is seriously injured, which is far beyond expectations. Seeing the expressions of the two, Doflamingo's expressions were a little uncertain, as if he had confirmed something in his heart. It turns out even Marine didn't know that Xiang En had reached the battle power of the Emperor. But at this time, Aokiji and the others couldn't care about Doflamingo's attitude, and were surprised by the result. Could it be? Aokiji was moved, and looked at Kizaru with trembling eyes. Should be Tempest Kick. Kizaru took a deep breath and nodded. The Crimson Momentum and that kick. Isn't this exactly the move that I didn't fully kick when I was sparring with Xia En? Aokiji thought for a while, took out the phone bug from his body and said, that's right. If Xia En has already left, maybe you can contact him directly. They have been on their way, but they haven't had time to contact Xia En yet. After Kizaru and the others finished asking, they immediately ignored Doflamingo and the others, and walked towards the other side with Aokiji. Dover. Torrebel was a little confused, and Marine Admiral seemed a little unreliable. Doflamingo just glanced at them, then waved. Go, appease the people, and prepare to rebuild. In addition to rebuilding, he also decided to follow Xia En and go to Marineford to fight. The next ones are busy, but if the battle between the Whitebeard pirates and Marineford hadn't been hindered by the drought, Doflamingo would have planned to join in the fun. After all, that was the biggest wave of the Great Pirate Era, and it is very likely that the world pattern will be changed because of this public execution. Just at this time, Aokiji on the other side took out the phone bug, and Kizaru took it over and called without saying a word. Fortunately, it didn't take long before I heard a voice from the opposite side. Xia En said weakly, hello. Are you okay? Kizaru hurriedly asked. It's okay, it's just too much physical exertion. Xia En had just found a place and planned to take a good rest when the call just happened. We've just arrived in Dressrosa, and we've already heard about your record, great job. Aokiji also said with a smile at the side. Are you here too? Xia En was slightly taken aback, it must be that Sengoku was worried, and directly sent two admirals over. It has to be said that their concern is genuine. In this special period, the two admirals were asked to come over in person when the war was about to start. The more Kizaru heard that Xia En was very weak, he asked worriedly, where are you now? Are you injured? I'm not injured, it's just that the consumption is too high. I need to find a place to sleep and recover. I may not be able to catch up with the public. Xia En herself didn't know where the island town was, and then told the two of them. It was absolutely no problem to participate in the summit war with my current strength, but now that an accident happened, I am afraid that I will miss this battle related to the situation. If you sleep like last time, you probably won't be able to participate. Aokiji knew that Xia En had slept for 3 days and 3 nights before recovering, and now she was exhausted again. In 3 days, the public execution would indeed be over. You go to rest and be careful. We will report the matter to Marshal Sengoku. Kizaru breathed a sigh of relief and instructed. Although Xia En can't participate in the public execution, the Whitebeard pirates will really come to fight with less combat power, but it will not hurt. With Xia En's talent, it is natural that ensuring a good life and becoming stronger is the first priority. Yes, I know. Xia En had already entered a certain town at this time, and found a hotel-type place. She couldn't bear the sleepiness of eyelids, and hung up the phone after saying a word. Kizaru and Aokiji looked at each other, but felt a lot more relaxed. Since Xia En is fine, let's CP collect the things here, let's go back first. Aokiji said something to Kizaru, and the two immediately decided to return. After all, if it wasn't for Xia En's situation, the two of them, Admiral, would not leave Marineford easily. Since they have nothing to do, they can't stay here for a long time. As for the details of the battle, the results of the battle, etc., just send someone later. As they said that, the two were about to leave. Their warship was actually in the sea not far away, and they arrived earlier just now. This will go directly back to the warship to return to the voyage. I'm also going with you to Marineford. Just about to leave as an element, Doflamingo showed up and said he wanted to go the same way. When Admiral and Aokiji and Kizaru are on the road, they may be able to talk about Xia En. At this time, Dover is very interested in Xia En, who is at the imperial level. Without the obstruction of the beasts, Kaido will not be able to control anything for a while, and Doflamingo is still very relieved to leave Dressrosa. Moreover, Kaido was seriously injured, which means that his beasts will not be able to participate in this war that will definitely happen. Of course, Doflamingo has a special status and bears the title of Shichibukai. Kizaru and Aokiji did not refuse to go together. In the past, Doflamingo was the uncle, the kind that couldn't even invite 180 moves, not to mention it was a dangerous place for a big war. On the contrary, it is strange that he is so actively involved in the recruitment. Just like that, Xia En fell into a drowsy sleep. Kizaru, Aokiji returned to Marineford with Doflamingo, during which they reported the situation to Sengoku with a phone bug. Sengoku, Mrs. Crane and others in the marshal's office. Discuss things. As soon as I received the call, I was relieved to hear that Xia En was fine, and then I heard Kizaru say, after Xia En seriously injured Kaido, his physical strength was too great, and he may not be able to catch up with the public execution. Really? Sengoku stood up abruptly, lost his composure in surprise and joy. It was really shocking to be able to fight Kaido to such a scene. Even Grandma He and the others suddenly widened their eyes and were surprised. Yes, after we passed. Kizaru told the story in detail, but the specific details of the battle are still being understood. As a result, Doflamingo talked about the battle between Shaen and Kaido. Lasers, illusory giants and Kaido fought hard, and even kicked Kaido into a serious injury in the end. This strength is definitely at the level of 4 emperors. Wah, Sengoku, you can hide really, such a formidable person, let him emerge only now. After finishing speaking, Doflamingo did not forget the yin and yang a little bit. But at this moment, Sengoku didn't care about Doflamingo's attitude, he was pleasantly surprised and excited. How long has it been since Shaen became vice admiral? His strength has been growing extremely fast, and it is unbelievable until now. Moreover, the strength of the 4 emperors level has been exerted, which is of great help to the next action. Shaen has done us a great job this time. After hanging up the phone, Sengoku finished speaking excitedly, his eyes narrowed slightly. It is a good thing that Kaido of War Fanatics was seriously injured, which means that he may not be able to make trouble in the following time. And Shaen has also fallen into a deep sleep recovery stage. If he can participate in time, the confidence of this war will undoubtedly be greater. Sengoku, have you considered it? Grandma He knew the old man's appearance well, so she must be weighing something. She also thought about how beneficial it would be if Shaen joined the war, and it was up to Sengoku to decide. Sengoku looked at Brandon at the side, and immediately began to issue instructions. Notify all news agencies, and announce to the world that Fire Fist Ace will be officially executed in Marineford in 3 days. Exclamation mark quote. 3 days, according to Sengoku's estimation, Shaen's deep sleep should also recover during this time. If there are no accidents, it may be possible to catch up with Marineford's public execution. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. Chapter 64 Shaen is too fierce, the 4 emperors feel a sense of crisis. Kaido is going to give Marine a big gift. Toto Land Kingdom, Cake Island. A lively tea party is going on in the castle garden. Charlotte Linlin was smiling all over her face, holding a cup of black tea and enjoying sweet snacks. Obviously she was in a good mood recently. The main reason is about the incident with the Whitebeard pirates. Everyone knows that the Whitebeard pirates value their companions the most, and anyone who dares to do anything to them will surely face revenge. In other words, Whitebeard and Marine will definitely have a fight. Charlotte Linlin is happy to see her opponents have accidents, and enjoys herself leisurely. Watching the guests at the tea party and the bustle of the chefs and waiters coming and going, I happily stuffed 2 donuts into my mouth. At this moment, Cracker quickly came to Charlotte Linlin. Mom, there is news that Kaido of the Beasts left Wano Kuni alone, and it is said that they are going to fight with Marine's Shaen. The movements of the 4 emperors and Marine Shaen are now the focus of collecting intelligence, and Cracker came to report as soon as he received it. Oh, Charlotte Linlin looked down at Cracker curiously, a little surprised, then grinned. Well, Kaido personally went to find Marine's new star, what's going on? It is said that Marine sent someone to Dressrosa, and that Shaen provoked Kaido. Cracker reported in detail, but it elicited even louder laughter from Zenlot Linlin. In this way, Marine just caught the Fire Fist Ace on the front foot, and now Kaido is likely to destroy the talented new star. Charlotte Linlin is not optimistic about Shaen at all, and even more scoffs at the behavior of provoking Kaido. A genius is a genius, and a strong man is a strong man. Even if she has a little strength, she is very aware of how strong Kaido is. It will not be too easy to deal with a new generation of Marine's new star. It can only be said that the kid was arrogant and provocative, and he was looking for death. That's right, Kaido of the Beasts is very strong, no one can beat him except Mom. After all, it is the 4 emperors, a guy who can be as famous as his mother is not something the new generation of Marine can challenge. Marine was about to make trouble with Whitebeard, but she got into trouble first. At the big ivory table, the guests, as well as the rest of the Charlotte family, agreed. No one will be optimistic about Shaen, let alone actively provoking Kaido. The strength of the 4 emperors is terrible. At the tea party, there was an additional topic. After all, Marine and Beasts were rivals, and it would be a good thing for the big Red M pirates to have an accident. As a result, the atmosphere at the scene seemed to become more enthusiastic. But this situation didn't last long, and soon, Katakuri, the ruthless general who only showed half of his face, appeared with long legs. Brother Katakuri, did you oversleep? Mom has been waiting for you for a long time. As the strongest under Charlotte Linlin, the people present greeted her. However, Katakuri came directly to Big Mom with a cold face, saluted, and said, Mom, urgent information. Charlotte Linlin was still smiling. Kaido went to Dressrosa Island to find trouble with Marine Shaen, but the two fought and it was a tie. Kaido was seriously injured and evacuated. Marine Shaen's situation is unknown. As soon as this statement came out, the audience is eerily quiet. Charlotte Linlin couldn't keep her composure any longer. Just now it was said that Kaido was out of Wano Kuni looking for trouble, but in a blink of an eye the emergency information came, and it was said that Kaido had a tie and Kaido was seriously injured. Everyone on the tea table looked shocked at the moment, and some people even made a snap, and the teacups in their hands fell to the ground. Katakuri, what are you talking about? Charlotte Linlin's eyes widened and she hurriedly asked. Marine Shaen reached a tie with Kaido, and ended the fight with both hands off the field. According to the urgent news, most of them are seriously injured. Katakuri himself was deeply shocked when he saw it at first, so he understands that the people present at this time did not believe it and were shocked. He himself felt incredible. A new generation of Marines vice admiral, a guy with no hair can seriously hurt Kaido. This news has been spread on Dressrosa Island because of the big incident. The source is reliable and it is true. Katakuri said, and took out a picture. That's right, it's the photo of Kaido coming up from the sea injured. At that time, Dressrosa Island was not only watched by people from the Don Quixote family, there were always desperate journalists who would take risks. In addition to the spies who were originally in Dressrosa, the news followed the previous piece of information to the Big Mom pirates. Empty news, then there may be doubts, questioning the authenticity. But there are even pictures to show that things really happened. So after taking a look at the picture, Charlotte Linlin immediately became restless. In the picture, Kaido is covered with the blood red of Marine falling to the ground. What is even more frightening is the missing piece of body. Normal humans, those who have died long ago cannot die again, and only a strong physical body like Kaido can resist it. How come? What a shock this is to Big Mom. She knows how powerful Kaido is, and how terrifying the physical body is after the dragon fruit is added. Especially like this, Xiang En made a hole. Charlotte Linlin had a wonderful expression, and her eyes were full of shock. When the photo was placed on the table, other people also saw how horribly injured Kaido was in the photo, and exclaimed again. Hee. Someone pointed at the photo and was speechless. I was not optimistic about Marine Shaen just now, and made various noises, and even thought that Shaen would be killed by Kaido. In the end, it was like this. A tie. Kaido was seriously injured. Bring the phone bug. Charlotte Linlin roared a little irritable, and she lost control of her emotions because she was not calm. How could it be possible? How could Shaen be strong enough to beat Kaido into this miserable state? Immediately, she couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to contact Kaido, whom she hadn't seen for decades. Tremblingly, the subordinate sent the phone bug, which was encrypted. The phone bug was quickly connected, and the entire tea party was silent. Only Charlotte Linlin said in a rough voice, Kaido. Is it Kaido? It's me, old woman. Sure enough, Kaido's cold snort came from the opposite side. Dressrosa, Marine Shaen injured you. Was it him? Is there someone else? Charlotte Linlin was also polite and asked loudly. She didn't want Shaen to do it from the bottom of her heart, it was too scary, so she unconsciously found a reason to explain. For example, Kaido was actually beaten by a legend. As a result, Kaido on the opposite side was silent for a few seconds, and responded unhappily, it's him. Shaen. If not Shaen, who else? Kaido, with bandages on his body, sat on a chair to answer Charlotte Linlin's phone call, with an impatient and unhappy expression. How could it be? That kid, can he really be so strong? When Charlotte Linlin got the answer of Shaen, she still found it incredible and said. It's him. Kaido found that he didn't know what to say, and the injuries on his body were still aching. How did he do it to beat you into this miserable state? Charlotte Linlin's tone also restrained her disbelief. Because there is no need for Kaido to deceive her, the matter cannot be covered up and spread out, there is no meaning of deception. Old woman, what do you mean? I am miserable. Kaido on the opposite side couldn't help but yelled, and immediately made excuses for himself, saying viciously, that's because Marine Shaen's moves are too weird, and I'm not familiar with them, so I suffered this degree of injury. Whether his laser is good or his crimson aura is good, I'm already prepared. Next time, that kid will kneel in front of me. The face that should be had still has to be won. Kaido tried to use this reason to blame Shaen's moves. Laser. Momentum. Kaido, it didn't take long for that guy to show up and hurt you. Do you know what that means? Charlotte Linlin disagreed, knowing that Kaido was making excuses. But there is a strong sense of crisis in my heart that I can't hide. He grew up really fast. Kaido also calmed down and said slowly. That's right, growing up too fast, Marine is an unprecedented genius. A monster among monsters. The rocks back then was still Figureland, even me, we are not as good as Shaen of Marine, far worse. Charlotte Linlin's words, to other people's ears, were simply shocking, everyone was dumbfounded, and their pupils trembled. No one expected that during the secret call with Kaido, Charlotte Linlin made such a scary comment on Shaen. However, Kaido on the other end of the phone bug did not refute, and even fell silent. This is default. After a while, Kaido said slowly, Linlin, what do you want to say? It's impossible for her to eat enough and comment on Shaen to herself. On such a high profile, even the Rock's captain, Figulon, is mentioned. HMPH, then I'll just say it straight, I want the Big Mom Pirates and your 100 Beasts alliance. As soon as this remark came out, people on both sides were shocked, and some even jumped out of their seats involuntarily, their faces full of disbelief. Katakuri, Perospero and other ministers, as well as the three major billboards on the other side of the phone bug, were shocked. Are you kidding me? Kaido was also surprised by Charlotte Linlin. How? This is a good time, Kaido. The threat level of Marine is increasing, and our alliance can take care of each other to the greatest extent. Don't forget, you still owe me a big favor that is still unclear. Quote. Charlotte Linlin smiled lowly, as if she really wanted to facilitate this alliance. He even proposed that favor. Kaido couldn't help but snort when he heard that. Alliance. Two sea emperors allied. Kaido subconsciously wanted to reject Charlotte Linlin's proposal. Thinking of Shaen kicking fiercely, the crimson aura formed the terror of an ancient beast rushing to him. Kaido's heart trembled slightly. This is the shadow of death brought by Shaen. That guy really has the means to kill himself. As Charlotte Linlin said, that guy has an unimaginable growth rate, amazing talent, and a growing threat. Maybe, an alliance with the Big Mom pirates is an option. So the words of refusal came to his lips, and Kaido suddenly changed his attitude. Okay, let's make an alliance. Accepted. Accepted. Kaido really said yes. The ministers of the Big Mom pirates swallowed their throats, their expressions dignified and complicated. On the side of the beast's pirates, Quinn, Jack, and Jin all had expressionless faces, but their complex thoughts were revealed in their eyes. At this time, Katakuri reported the information, and when he was talking to Kaido, he received a message from Naval Headquarters and walked over quickly. Here Charlotte Ling. Ling formed an alliance with Kaido. Katakuri's expression changed slightly, and soon he reported again. Mom. Latest news. Marine decided to officially execute Fire Fist Ace in Marineford 3 days later. What? Charlotte Linlin and Kaido on the other end of the phone bug all let out an exclamation at the same time. The cadres present on both sides stared wide-eyed in shock, opened their mouths wide, and sweated profusely. What the hell is going on today? Shocking news is coming one by one. Do you want people to be calm? First, Shaen and Kaido fought each other, then the two pirate gangs allied, and now Marine has big news again. No, okay Zhao, wrong, it's big news. Originally thought that if Fire Fist Ace was captured, he would be imprisoned in Impel Down at worst, and it would not be surprising to have a secret execution in the end, so as to take the initiative to fight against the Whitebeard pirates. As a result, Marine directly came to a public execution. This is tantamount to announcing to the whole world that they will go to war with the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard's strength, is it a joke to fight head-on? Charlotte Linlin immediately felt that Marine was going crazy at this moment, which made her feel more dangerous. Sengoku, what a guts. The 5 elders up there don't want to maintain their balance anymore. Charlotte Linlin gritted her teeth, her eyes were extremely serious. Immediately ordered with Perospero, Katakuri and others, call together the forces under the banner, contact the Vinsmoke family and those people, I want to marry. This is a plan that has been formulated long ago, but the purpose is different. At this time, Charlotte Linlin can't control too much, and wants to grow her power quickly. But at this time, on the other end of the phone, Kaido laughed loudly and gradually became excited after hearing the news, regardless of his injuries. Little ones, assemble. I will personally lead all the beasts into battle. It's hard for the war-crazed Kaido not to be excited. The dispute between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine is definitely the biggest war in the world, and he has no reason to miss it. Even after hearing that Charlotte Linlin chose to strengthen her strength. Kaido, are you sure you want to go out? Charlotte Linlin did not persuade, but asked deeply. Of course, Linlin, it's useless to be blindly scruples. With such a good opportunity right now, I want to give Marine a big gift. Kaido laughed, reckoning that his injuries would be absolutely fine for him to participate in the battle. But Charlotte Linlin obviously didn't want to go directly into the muddy water with Kaido, left a sentence, whatever you want, and hung up the phone. Chapter 65 The world is in an uproar, and a combat power stronger than Admiral is about to be born. For the whole world, the news of the public execution was very shocking. Under the relentless publicity of the world government, newspapers were sent to all parts of the world through Newsbird. Be it those kingdoms, underground forces, or wandering pirates, they were all deeply shocked. For a time, the whole world exploded because of this. How could it be? Marine wants to publicly execute Fire Fist Ace. Whitebeard pirates must go back to save people, isn't a big battle about to start? Whitebeard, that person will definitely not stand idly by, Marine is declaring war. A blatant declaration of war. The war is about to begin. Many people around the world are beginning to panic. It is hard to imagine what the battle between the strongest pirate group and Marine will be like. It even started to lead to the conclusion of the end of the world. And among the major forces, after reading the newspapers, they were all extremely dignified. They understood that the great tide of the times was coming. However, the news that caused the whole world to explode had just fermented, followed by another even more explosive news. It was also the news that came from the newspapers, and the two pieces of news that shocked the whole world were only half a day apart. The big newsman Morgan spared no effort to publish it in the newspapers and spread the news, which is about the fierce battle between Shaen and Kaido on Dressrosa Island. Marine Vice Admiral Shaen and 4 Emperors Kaido of the Beasts fought fiercely and ended in a tie. Coupled with the post-war tragedy of Dressrosa Island, all major forces were dumbfounded, and the thoughts raised by the tide of the times couldn't help but stagnate, and they were shocked. How is it possible? Shaen, isn't he the new star of Marine? He blocked the red hair, and now he says he can tie with Kaido. His growth rate is so amazing. What kind of genius? Is the news accurate? Morgan's information. It's very detailed, it's an all-out battle. Look at the scene after the battle. The kings of the underground forces were shocked to see that Doflamingo's kingdom was devastated, which shows how scary the battle was at that time. In a conference room at naval headquarters, the Shichibukai who went to naval headquarters to assemble even read the newspaper and frowned. He actually has this kind of strength. Hawkeye Mahawk's eyes were bright, and a strong fighting spirit and curiosity filled his heart. 293 Xia En, of course he knows, the marine genius who can take over the red-haired and evasive marine. But how long has it been since that incident, and now is it possible to fight Kaido and draw a tie? Hee ha ha, wouldn't there be your world government promoters among them? Gecko Moria smiled playfully, and looked at a certain world government person standing at the door. Xia En Vice Admiral is the highest combat power comparable to Admiral, is it strange to fight against 4 emperors? As a result, the man in black from the world government only responded lightly, with a somewhat arrogant tone. It was fun to see the surprised faces of these Shichibukai. The fight between Xia En and Kaido has been spread in the Marineford area, so the government and marine soldiers all know about it. Highest combat power. Tyrant Shang squinted his eyes and glanced at it, then set his gaze on the newspaper, feeling astonished in his heart. It seems that the Revolutionary Army has not paid much attention to Marine's rising stars. Kaido, that is the Sea Emperor with the same status as Whitebeard who declared war this time. He has grown to this level at such a young age, it is too outrageous. But everyone also had to believe that Morgan's news itself was authoritative, and the attitude of the world government could be sure that the incident was true. The transmission of the 2 messages has even affected another terrifying force. Underground world. The Queen of the Pleasure District, the Lone Shark King, the Transportation King and others connected to the video bug, conducted a discussion, and focused their attention on 2 major issues. You see, Marine is going to fight Whitebeard. Kaido was hit hard by that Xia En. I just don't know what happened to him. The kings of the underground forces obviously know more than the newspapers. Because Doflamingo is also the king of the underground forces, codenamed Joker, so they have a very clear understanding of what happened that day. What a scary boy. You can beat Kaido like this at such a young age, it seems that the Whitebeard pirates. Do you think the Whitebeard pirates will lose? Maybe. A guy who can fight Kaido to such a degree, he has imperial combat power. He is really a monster among monsters. Let's not mess with him in the future. Once this war is over, what will be exposed before our eyes is a huge cake. I hope that the Joker and Kaido problems will not affect our business. The 6 kings are connected with each other, and they are inextricably linked with the Kingdom War and the 4 emperors' pirates, so they are also very concerned about these 2 things. According to such a dense newspaper to deliver the message. In fact, Xia En's reputation spread rapidly to the whole world. He had already been executed publicly, but at this moment, the people of the countries that joined the world government felt that Marine had greater confidence, and they rejoiced. After all, this is a superpower who can compete with the 4 emperors. And somewhere in the new world, there are no Marine, world government spies here, but a large number of pirate ships are gathered together. The biggest pirate ship in the center looks like Whitebeard's Moby Dick. The pirates who came to assemble are all the big ship regiments of the Bazi pirates. Whitebeard, the Ice Witch, Epoida, Andre, Elmi, Veden. One after another, the famous pirates of the New World boarded the Moby Dick to meet their fate, Papa Whitebeard. The 43 captains of the pirate group and the 15 team captains all have confidence and passion in their eyes. Dad, together, we'll break through Marine's defense and get Ace out. It's not just about saving Ace, it's also our battle against Marine. We must win. With such a huge power, they are all very excited as a member of it. What about Marine? 3 Admiral, Marshal, Vice Admiral, Shichibukai. The strong among them are not cowardly, even the strongest man in the world, their father, Whitebeard. Hey, it's good to have confidence, but don't be careless. Marco smiled when he saw the friends who came, and he was also very happy in his heart. Ace will definitely be rescued. Unexpectedly, at the time of assembly, several news birds flew by and the newspapers fell. Marco picked up the newspaper in midair, opened his eyes and immediately flew to Whitebeard. Father, Marine Xia En and Kaido fought fiercely and even ended in a tie. I only saw the news of the public execution in the newspaper this morning, so what is there now? But as Marco exclaimed, everyone present exploded. What? Whitebeard frowned, took the newspaper and looked at it, his expression changed immediately. The others were all taken aback, and hurriedly fetched more newspapers from the passing news bird, and opened them to read. Marine Vice Admiral Xia En and 4 Emperors Kaido of the Beasts fought fiercely and ended in a tie. Xia En, isn't he the new one? How come? Kaido, that Kaido, he can even tie. This record shocked everyone present. Being able to draw with Kaido shows that Xia En has the combat power of 4 Emperors. Marine's previous configuration made everyone present feel full of confidence, but it was true that there was an extra Emperor-level combat power, and they couldn't calm down immediately, and even the worried people were a little worried. No wonder Marine dared to execute the execution publicly, it turned out to be certain. Involuntarily, all the captains looked at Marco, Vista, and Jose. AGFD, the 3 of them fought Xia En before. Father, this Xia En's growth is really terrifying. What happened a few days ago, he was able to fight fiercely under the joint efforts of the 5 of us, and almost killed Lakiru. I'm afraid this record is not worth anything. Moisture. Marco also had to admit Xia En's toughness, and he couldn't say anything to look down on, because the war was about to start and he had to correctly evaluate the opponent. As for Xia En, Marco knows that the news in the newspaper is probably not moisture. Go and contact Dressrosa for information. Whitebeard looked at the newspaper with serious eyes, and then ordered. He was very impressed with Xia En. He didn't say anything, but he never underestimated Xia En since the last time. At this time, the captain of the large fleet contacted the forces near Dressrosa Island and asked for detailed results. The information obtained shocked many people and swallowed their throats. Marine Vice Admiral Xia En and Kaido of the Beasts fought fiercely over Dressrosa Island. The end result was a draw, but Kaido was seriously injured when he finally emerged. It is said that his chest and abdomen were punched out. When the news obtained was reported, the captains present were immediately stunned. Not only were there no exaggerations in the newspapers, they were even restrained. He can be strong enough to seriously injure Kaido. The strongest creature Kaido, just the name alone knows how strong Kaido's physical body is. Xia En can actually do this. For a moment, everyone on the boat was a little flustered, talking a lot. What should we do if there is an extra terrifying combat power like Xia En? Even Whitebeard is a little concerned. To fight against naval headquarters, to save Ace is bound to face all the forces of Marine, Admiral, Sengoku, Garp, these people are already very difficult. Now add a Xia En who can make a big hole in Kaido's body. It's even harder. Whitebeard glanced at the children present and calmed down everyone's discussion. At the same time, he also knew that no one present could be Xia En's opponent except himself. There is one more powerful opponent, but there is no need to panic. We must dispatch this battle, but we will not be blind. Whitebeard stood up, his unusually strong body straightened, which reassured everyone present. Their biggest hole card is the invincible daddy. Xia En is indeed strong, and her growth is amazing. Since this is the case, we need to gather more talents. Whitebeard stared into the distance, making an instant decision. There are more than 2 days, enough time for them to prepare. Similarly, red hair pirates also got 2 forward and backward newspapers. Boss. Terrible. Usopp and others surrounded Shanks, all of them looked shocked and surprised. Another war with the Whitebeard pirates was declared, and then Xia En and Kaido fought again. Beckman was very solemn. During this period of time, things happened too frequently, and almost everyone involved the 4 emperors, which was not a good direction for the situation. Then he went on to say, I'm afraid Marine is going to win this time. With Xia En here, the gap in combat power between the Whitebeard pirates is even greater. Lakiru couldn't help but froze when he mentioned Xia En, he almost killed himself before. Also as Beckman said, there is such a pervert, the Whitebeard pirates. Is there any chance of victory? Xia En. This person is already so strong, it's outrageous. Marine has Xia En's emperor-level combat power, and I am afraid that he will be more confident in dealing with Whitebeard. No wonder he dares to execute Ace openly. Shanks took a deep breath. Boss, what about us? Who knows if what happened will produce any changes, Usopp and the others quickly asked. Follow the plan, let's stop Marine and Whitebeard. And continue to pay attention to the actions of Big Mom and Kaido. Whitebeard can't fall. If it is really swallowed by Marine, New World will become a purgatory, an arena. Shanks sighed, and immediately decided, looking worriedly at the distant sea. That old man Whitebeard will definitely not give up. No matter what kind of strength Xia En shows, he will never give up. So if we want to maintain a certain balance and prevent the situation from getting worse, we must try our best to prevent the death struggle between Marine and Whitebeard. As for Xia En showing stronger strength, this is really an accident, making their original plan a little unstable, but they must go all out to prevent the world from chaos. However, the storm caused by the public execution and the battle between Xia En and Kaido swept the world. Many people are vaguely not optimistic about the Whitebeard pirates. All because of the changes brought about by Xia En's record this time. Hawkeye in Marineford, Shichibukai like Gecko Moria, and even Empress Hancock who was on the way heard the news, they were surprised and began to look forward to seeing Xia En. What kind of boy is this, who can make such a legendary record at this age? Except of course Doflamingo, who wasn't looking forward to it. And on the other side, as the new generation, the pirate supernovas who gathered in the Sabayati archipelago were all amazed when they heard the news one by one. In the restaurant in Area 21, kids' uncontrollable screams were even heard. He tied Kaido. As a super rookie, even if Captain Kid doesn't match the standard, he will still look at Marine's rookie monsters for comparison. But seeing him in the newspaper now, he was so shocked beyond words. It's impossible to say. Chapter 66 Waking up from a deep sleep, the color of knowledge and knowledge has evolved into a free and extreme intention, shielding the field without distinction. There was an uproar in the restaurant. Not only Kid looked at the newspaper in shock and amazement, but also Kira, Chow Ailey and other super rookies who offered a reward of hundreds of millions were shocked. They thought that the news of the public execution would surprise them enough, but Xia En's record simply blinded their eyes. He can match Kaido of the Beasts. Chow Ailey gasped, deeply shocked. I want to know more than other supernovas, as a person who ran from Mariajoy, what 4 emperors means to the world government. Powerful and unrivaled, the world government of the National Alliance is very afraid, even if there is friction, it must be treated with caution. This is 4 emperors. But right now, the newspapers are actually saying that Xia En, the rising star of Marine, who has just become vice admiral, can compete with Kaido. With such a person joining, on the day of the public execution, Marine was completely on the advantage side. It should be said that Marine was the advantage. Hawkins was holding the tarot cards, but he hadn't started divination for a long time, and his eyes were tightly locked on the newspaper on the table. Monsters. Real monsters. Trafalgar Law spat out these words in a low voice, turned around and led the people away. He must be prepared, this war must be watched. At this moment, he really wants to know how big the gap between Xia En and them will be. Captain Kidd and the others couldn't eat anymore. They glanced at the departing supernovas one by one, and stood up abruptly, leading them away. He also had the idea of going to Marineford to watch the battle up close. However, at this time, another super rookie, Straw Hat Luffy, is hiding on Hancock's warship heading for Impel Down, constantly urging Hancock to speed up. Otherwise, Ace will be executed. Time flies. As shocking discussions and reactions around the world were made, 3 days passed quickly. The day of the public execution. Marineford has already set up artillery and guns, and 100,000 Marine elites are standing in Marineford Square. The Marine deployment is completed, and with the start of the live broadcast to the whole world, the pictures are unfolded in major islands, kingdoms and other places such as Sabayati Archipelago and Water 7. The long-awaited event of people all over the world finally begins at this moment. The 100,000 Marine elites mobilized from all over the world. It's really spectacular. Look, that's Marine's giant vice admiral and other vice admirals. Hawkeye, Empress, Tyrant, Gecko Moria, Doflamingo, are those villains of Shichibukai. Hiss. This battle is really terrifying. Will the Whitebeard pirates dare to come? It's hard to say, Marine is too well prepared. With the opening of the live broadcast, people all over the world are looking at the huge live broadcast and discussing it. There are a large number of general-level Marine soldiers in Marineford Square, together with vice admirals, Shichibukai, and the battle is full of momentum. At this time, someone soon noticed that there seemed to be one less person in Marine's lineup. What about Marine Vice Admiral Xia En who fought against Kaido? Yeah, why didn't I see it? Look at the people in the live broadcast. It's really not here. This time, I'm really looking forward to the battle between the new generation of Marines and the kings of the old era. If you can fight against Kaido, you must be able to fight against Whitebeard. Unfortunately, Xia En Vice Admiral doesn't seem to be here. Could it be used as a whole card, waiting for the Whitebeard pirates to appear somewhere? The citizens of the franchise countries have been looking forward to Xia En and the 3 admirals working together to defeat the Whitebeard pirates since they heard the news. The underground forces and even the Revolutionary Army were paying attention to Xia En, but when the live broadcast started, none of them showed up. 3 admirals are out. At this time, in the live broadcast, the towering execution platform was in the middle. Aokiji, Akainu, Kizaru 3 admirals are seated at the place where the admirals are placed. The Marines below were all excited by Admiral's aura and kept shouting. There was a frenzy. Hawkeye Mahawk, Pirate Queen Boa Hancock, Gecko Moria, Tyrant Bear, and Doflamingo all looked around from time to time. They didn't care about the 3 admirals' appearances, and kept looking for Xia En's figure. No, Vice Admiral Xia En doesn't seem to be back. Gecko Moria, Mahawk, and Tyrant Bear all came early, but 3 days have passed, and Xia En has not been seen on various occasions in Marineford, and now the execution live broadcast has not even appeared. Impossible, Xia En was the first to leave after fighting Kaido. Doflamingo also frowned slightly, he was also looking for Xia En's figure. Logically speaking, he should have been in Marineford long ago, but since Doflamingo was not there when Kizaru contacted Xia En, he knew nothing about Xia En's whereabouts. Could it be going to a secret mission? Hancock glanced at the Marine lineup below and guessed. She also wanted to meet such a legendary new star, but the execution was about to begin and there was no sign of Xia En. The Shichibukai couldn't help feeling suspicious. Yet almost at the same time. Somewhere small town island. Xia En woke up from the bed. Finally full of energy. I don't know how many days I slept. Rubbing her eyes and stretching her waist, Xia En felt that she was not hungry at all. She stood up and felt the majestic power in her body. Before falling asleep, the system reminded me that 200% of the rewards had already arrived, but I didn't have time to check it at that time. Now, just this strong feeling is very comfortable. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket comprehensive value. 9400. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Magic penetration light kill cannon 330%. Attack power. Emperor level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Dancing Kongshu 330%. Agility. Emperor level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Susanoo 220%. Defense. Emperor level. Attack power. Emperor level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Kaiwang fist 610%. Consume stamina for all-round improvement. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Night Guy 120%. Attack Power. Legendary Level. Close Black Lens Bracket. All Royal Class. Among them, Yi Gai's attack power has reached the legendary level, which made Xia En, who watched the system panel, a little dazed, and immediately took a breath. I made a lot of money. This fight is really worth it. Ha ha ha. Xia En was surprised and delighted. No wonder she was full of explosive power when she woke up together, and she didn't feel hungry when she woke up this time. Cooperating with myself, my whole body is full of strength now. If we fight with Kaido again, we are absolutely sure that we can completely defeat him. Xia En smiled happily, clenched her fists and felt the majesty in her body. Afterwards, he casually washed himself in the bathroom of the hotel in this small town. As a result, just after finishing it, there was a ding sound, and the system prompt sounded. Observation Hockey's evolutionary path has been repaired successfully, and the correct evolution is in progress. Evolved successfully. Congratulations to host for obtaining a new skill, freedom of mind. Close Black Lens Bracket. Since Ultra Instinct, Xia En, who was putting on clothes, froze, and surprise burst out in his eyes. No matter how I think about it, I never imagined that this skill would actually evolve. God's defense in the Dragon Ball world. Different from the perception of knowledge and knowledge, the body and consciousness are separated, so that all parts of the body can transcend instinct to perceive the dangers around, and no longer need the brain to make the magical skill of thinking first. Perhaps, the knowledgeable ultimate is really free after breaking through. Xia En was surprised and sighed again. Well, an evolutionary bug fix, this surprise was too big. So he hurriedly entered the panel consciously, and checked the newly acquired magic skills. Open Black Lens Bracket Skill. Freedom of Mind 0%. Close Black Lens Bracket. Restricted by the rules of the world, the state of the host's free mind will change. It can block all means of perception such as predicting the future and reading mind in a large area. Capture all sounds and movements in a state of ease and ecstasy. The current range is 10 kilometers. Close Black Lens Bracket. More functions can be explored by yourself. Close Black Lens Bracket. There is no classification, just like Kaiwang Fist, which means that it is still in a certain state. I just don't know if it can be used together with Kaiwang Fist. Xia En looked at the notes on the panel and swallowed. To put it simply, you can control all the movement of 10 kilometers, and directly make the enemy observation hockey completely ineffective. Perhaps, even the sentience possessed by Devil Fruit will be blocked. Xia En wasn't sure, so she closed her eyes immediately, and opened ZZG with a single thought. It's a strange feeling. I can even see that my skin is glowing with a silvery white light, as if I have a feeling that I am a god within 10 kilometers. Sound, action from near to far, all under your control. Xia En didn't know that even his hair had turned silvery white now, exactly the same as the ultra instinct he knew. And within the scope of extreme intent, an unexpected sound happened to be heard. There was no one in the hotel, but there was a lot of noise in the town square 1 kilometer away. It's the summit war that begins. Listening to the topics of discussion, Xia En also heard that some residents of the town were looking forward to their appearance. 0. Seeking flowers. Am I so famous now? Laughing dumbfounded, Xia En put away the ultra instinct and hurriedly got dressed. Ding. New mission released. Participate in Summit War. Close Black Lens Bracket. At this time, the system prompt also happens to light up. Participation. It's that simple. Xia En grinned, and immediately didn't care to stay any longer, and went to Marineford as soon as possible. In the square of the town, Marineford's public execution was being broadcast live, and many people were still talking about where the Xia En vice admiral, who was able to challenge the 4 emperors, had gone. As everyone knows, a stream of light flew up from the small town, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The other side, a huge pirate ship is sailing fast, followed by 3 or 4 auxiliary ships, and the skeleton flag on it is the beast's pirates. Kaido sat boldly on the throne in the middle, holding the jug in one hand and propping his head in the other, taking a big gulp from time to time. And in his heart, apart from the excitement of the war, he was also thinking about how he would take revenge when he met Xia En. Governor Kaido. Red hair pirates block the way ahead. At this moment, Yan Wanjin strode in from the deck with a dignified expression. Red hair. That guy is trying to stop me. Kaido's eyes narrowed, and he stood up with a bit of hostility. When they went out, they saw that it was the Ford Foss that was blocking their way. Red-haired Shanks, Beckman, Rakiru, Usopp and other cadres all stood there, watching the approaching beast's pirates. Red hair. You are courting death. Quinn, Jack, and the Flying Six were already on the deck. Seeing Shanks and the others couldn't help but curse. Among the 4 emperors, the red hair was especially targeted at them. As long as it was going to see, they had come to obstruct them more than once. Usopp, Larch, Lu and the others are old rivals with the 3 Kanbans, and they scoffed at the sound. In the past, Beast's pirates and them have played against each other at a disadvantage. At this time, Kaido, who was more than 8 meters tall, came up with the smell of alcohol all over his body, and his eyes collided with Shanks. When the 2 emperors of the sea met, a huge pressure suddenly filled the audience, and the minion-level figures on both sides couldn't bear it, and broke out in cold sweat. To save face, Marineford, don't get involved. Shanks wanted to save face when he came up, and he said bluntly to Duo. Ha. Ha 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 ha. As a result, Kaido laughed loudly, then the laughter stopped abruptly, and he said disdainfully, why should I give you face? Red hair, don't forget what you have done. And. You stop. Can you live with me? If he doesn't love to fight, it's really hard for Shanks to keep Kaido alone. But the meeting of the two pirate groups, not alone. Shanks slowly pulled out his long sword, and said in a serious tone, you can't stop it, just try it, but I still suggest you restrain yourself. I heard that you were seriously injured by Xia En, so you really fought with me. If he could not waste energy here, Shanks still didn't want to fight directly, trying to make Kaido feel a little more apprehensive. Then try it, Redhead. Kaido was determined to go to Marineford. Hearing this, he lifted up his cloak directly, revealing a large healed chest and abdomen, and then laughed grinningly. Although it left a scar, the injury has recovered in just a few days, so Kaido is so confident to lead people all the way from the country of seeds. The bosses of both parties are full of gunpowder, not to mention the cadres and crews under them. At this time, everyone is staring at each other viciously, their swords are on the verge of attacking at any time, even the long sword in Shanks' hand has faint sparks, Kaido even has lightning flashing from his body. Raised the mace with one hand. However, just in time to fight. Observation Hockey's gifted Usopp suddenly looked up at the distant sky. Boss, someone is coming. He sensed a breath approaching rapidly. After speaking, Observation Hockey sensed the past, and formed a portrait in his mind as if he had opened a perspective. Usopp saw the person flying fast. It's him. The person who came as Xia En. Marineford's public execution was imminent, and he didn't expect to find Xia En in this direction at all. Usopp couldn't help shouting in surprise. Kaido, Shanks and the pirates on both sides were all surprised, their expressions became more dignified, and they turned their heads to look at Chi. Chapter 67 Encountering Beasts and the Red-Haired Group, the collective shock. He has become stronger again. Xia En's flying speed is extremely fast, and she is anxious to participate in the top battle. As a result, he himself also found two pirate ships on the distant sea, and there were already several auxiliary ships. As the distance got closer, it turned out to be the red-haired Shanks and Kaido. Looks like Kaido was going to make trouble in Marineford, but the redhead stopped him. Xia En thought for a while, and she had a little impression. Originally, I planned to just fly over like this, and I didn't bother to talk to them and hurried to participate in Marineford. Unexpectedly, when Kaido saw Xia En's figure below, he became extremely irritable, causing the red-haired group opposite to look at Kaido strangely. It seems that the so-called tie is not that simple. And it only said that Kaido was injured, but didn't say whether Xia En was injured. Could it be that he still suppressed the King of Beasts? Shanks' eyes changed several times. At this time, with a dragon chant, Kaido decisively confronted Xia En flying from the sky. The huge green dragon leapt up, and when it circled, a pillar of fire spurted out violently. Hot interest. The scorching dragon flames swirled. Xia En was also surprised that Kaido didn't say a word, and directly attacked himself. Why bother? The idea appeared, and the orange-red light lit up. Susanoo. And the body constructed after further progress is no longer a half-body, but a complete giant. Almost in the blink of an eye, Xia En was protected by the armored illusory giant, and with a movement of his arm, the heat was sent flying and blasted into the sea. The blasted waves shimmered and fell with a clatter. Xia En frowned slightly, stopped and stared at the green dragon Kaido in front of her and said, 010, get out of the way. To be honest, it doesn't matter if you come back to fight Kaido after getting the reward, after all, Xia En still knows which is more important. But obviously Kaido did not intend to let Xia En go, and roared, Xia En. Don't try to run this time. The last time I finished the fight, I left. As a result, it was spread all over the world that I was tied by Marine Xia En, and even made Big Mom joke that I was seriously injured. Kaido has accumulated a lot of resentment and anger in his heart. If he still has the shadow of Xia En in his heart, he would have singled out 4 horses to chase and kill him. And right now, there are thousands of capable people under him, including the real fight, the flying 6 cells, and the 3 big signs. It's the entire Beast's pirates. Xia En is only one person, how could such an opportunity be missed? Run. Please don't get in the way. Xia En was a little upset, this Kaido is really a cowhide plaster, but he just refused to let go after a fight. HMPH. Because of you, what has become of my reputation now? Damn you. Seeing Xia En's impatient look, Kaido became even angrier, and his huge nostrils sprayed white water. Bad wind. Opening his mouth, a large number of wind blades surged out, slashing towards Xia En. At the same time, Kaido rolls around, creating a huge tornado, sweeping the sea and making the surroundings dark, low clouds shrouded, and thunder flashing. In the blink of an eye, the power of the Azure Dragon affected the weather in this sea area. What a hassle. Xia En knows that he has to deal with Kaido, so it will take some time to defeat him. Susanoo also moved more smoothly, and scattered the approaching tornado at will, and those wind blades scraped on Susanoo's surface, and were wiped out immediately. Seeing that Xia En eliminated his attack so easily, Kaido's eyes flickered, and he immediately yelled at the Beast's pirates below, let's go together. Leave him here. At the same time, on the boat of the red-haired Shanks, everyone also looked up at Kaido's attack on Xia En, and they were very dignified amidst surprise. Sure enough, he has become stronger. This progress is really an exaggeration. Beckman exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. From the last battle until now, Xia En's strength has risen to several levels like a rocket, and anyone who sees it is still shocked. Even the legends of the times, people like Roger can't compare to Xia En's talent. This guy, boss, what should we do? Lakilu's pupils trembled, and he didn't know what to put down the flesh in his hands, and asked Shanks in front of him. Shanks watched Xia En deal with Kaido's tornado lightly, shook his head slightly and said, let's see first. Xia En is undoubtedly going to Marineford to fight, as is Kaido, neither of them can let them go easily, Shanks wants to reap the benefits. However at this time, Kaido was really crazy, knowing that Xia En was difficult to deal with, he simply ordered all the beasts to attack together. Quinn was also very surprised, did not expect Kaido to ask everyone to go together. Jin didn't hesitate at all, and flew straight into the air, darting towards Kaido, the long knife in his hand slashed several sword auras at Xia En in succession. Don't stand still, that Xia En is very strong, very strong. Kay reminded a handful of Quinn and launched an attack below. For a moment, the fleet of beasts pirates turned their guns, starting from the main ship, and fired wildly at Xia En's location. Others who used swords and guns, including Fuzifu and others, all launched long-range attacks. It can be seen that the flames and sword energy are blasting towards Xia En's Susanoo crazily. Even though they were insignificant attacks separately, when they were launched together, the momentum was huge, the flames illuminated the surrounding area, and even the sea surface was rippling. The eyes are full of long-range attacks such as cannonballs, sword energy, and lasers. And Kaido directly transformed into the form of a dragon man, stepping on the flame cloud, and the thunder light on the mace. Diamond Dysprosium. The stick energy activated by the mace pierces the air, and the black lightning is attached, powerful. If Xia En had faced so many attacks before, Xia En's face would have changed a long time ago. But now, with all the attacks in sight, Susanoo directly blocked with both hands. Immediately the attack fell, and the sound of rumbling was accompanied by various cutting explosions. Kaido's Conqueror's hockey attack even sparked black lightning to wreak havoc on Susanoo. However, Xia En just stood firmly inside Susanoo's forehead, watching through the illusion, her face didn't change at all. Whether it's the continuous bombardment below, or the flying six cells, the real attack, the attack of the three big kanbans, in fact, they can't shake Susanoo. Even Kaido's Vajra dynamite stick energy couldn't work, only some black lightning flashed. Until after the round. When the smoke from the explosion dissipated and Susanoo was intact and her position remained unchanged, Kaido subconsciously gritted his teeth and widened his eyes, a little in disbelief. He's fine. How could it be? So many of us took turns attacking him for a round, and he's fine. Quinn was taken aback, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. I used the black light cannon several times in a row just now, even if it didn't break the defense, it would still be shaken, right? But in the end, Xia En just folded his arms and watched the whole process indifferently, as if he was not the one who was bombarded by the entire beast's pirates. What a defense. That's what he is. Jin swallowed his throat, he didn't look happy or angry on the outside, but he was actually shocked. In the battle just now, even the marine fleet has been beaten to nothing, right? Jack shrank his neck even more, feeling a little pain all over his body, and his psychological shadow emerged. Impossible. Is he pretending? Who can survive the concentrated fire just now, and still pretend to be okay? Monster. It's really a monster. It's no wonder that Master Kaido suffers. Really fight. Those members of Fei Lubao, including the ordinary members, were all sweating profusely, all of them were greatly shocked, and looked at the orange-red illusory armored giant in disbelief. From Kaido's order to attack together, except for Quinn who was stunned for a moment, everyone else shot mercilessly. It can be said that what he took out was not a unique move but also a powerful move. Look, the clouds have been blown away, and the sea has been shaken. But the man standing in place has nothing to do with it. And on the boat of the red-haired Shanks, a group of people gasped and looked shocked. Beckman stuck his head out while leaning on the fence, and said in surprise, his defense is much stronger than before. How did this monster cultivate? Why did it improve so much? Lakilu couldn't help shouting in horror. The two felt that the last time they fought was just yesterday, but in fact, it really wasn't that long. I wasn't so surprised when I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I couldn't help being shocked at this time. Such an ability to improve is simply outrageous. It's too exaggerated. That guy, in fact, his mood hasn't changed until now. While Shanks was astonished, he watched Xia En from the beginning to the end, observing his movements and expressions. Calm down. Calm down. Thinking of not long ago, Xia En, who took over from him, his defense was broken, and his heart was not as good as it is today. In a short period of time, his strength has improved so much, it is simply terrifying. And he is also very confident in himself. Involuntarily, Shanks became more and more afraid of Xia En. At this time, while gnashing his teeth, Kaido aroused the thunder in the sky, intending to cast the powerful Conqueror's entanglement skill. Xia En, however, didn't have the heart to waste time here and there with them. She raised her finger, and pure incandescent light lit up on her fingertips. He's on the move. It's the finger pistol laser. Seeing this, Jack quickly shouted a reminder. He himself transformed into a mammoth form on the boat, and was very vigilant against Xia En's beam. Why are you afraid of him? Go. With a strange cry, Fuzifu stepped on the air and jumped up with Fei Lubao. In the heart of Fei Lubao, he had long wanted to attack the 3 big billboards, but he was even more disdainful seeing Jack's panicked expression. The defense is strong, and even Kaido's attack can be easily defended, but so what? At this time, Kaido will use his moves, and it is a good opportunity to follow behind. In this rush, not only Fei Lubao, but even the real fighters with the highest strength followed. More than a dozen people, holding their own weapons, entangled with haki, and attacked viciously. And at this time, Kaido in the form of a dragon man wrote, Gule 8 trigrams. The Wanjin Black Thunder flashed and bombarded Susanoo without sparing any effort. Guardian Fire Dragon. The fire embers caused the flames behind him to extend and wrap around his sword, and a fire dragon immediately rushed towards where Susanoo was. Black Flame. Brachiosaurus Bomb. Plague Quinn followed suit, transforming into a Brachiosaurus, and at the same time extending out technological weapons from his transformed body, aiming at Xia En. Cannonballs and fire impacts are fired continuously. The 3 of them formed a triangle, attacking Xia En from 3 directions. However, Xia En glanced at the positions of the 3 of them, raised his eyebrows, and each was in a different place, only one could be attacked. Instead, they set their targets on a dozen or so Junda and Fei Lubao, completely. Regardless of the attacks of Kaido and the others, the magic light cannon exploded from the fingertips, turning into an incandescent beam of light and blasting towards Fuzifu and the others. Fei Lubao and the real fighters had just concentrated their moves, and they were still jumping up with their feet on the air. They never thought that Xia En would attack them with a backhand. As everyone knows, Xia En thinks it's troublesome, so let's get rid of them first. Coincidentally, the attacks in the hands of Fei Lubao and the real fighters also found a vent, and they all smirked and blasted at the beam. They are confident that the energy of so many people can block Xia En's attack, giving Kaido 3 people a chance to directly bombard. As a result, more than a dozen people waved their weapons and threw them at the incandescent streamer. In the next second, they all let out screams of misery. Today's magic gun light killing system shows the Emperor level. That is to say, the light beam with a single strike also has the power of 2.1 Kaido's domineering power, which group of real fighters and Fei Lubao can resist. The moment Haki came into contact with the light beam, all of them collapsed. Even the hand holding the weapon in pain couldn't bear the impact, directly tore the tiger's mouth, and let go. At the same time, the impact of the air pressure brought by the passing magic cannon directly knocked everyone including Fuzifu and Fei Lubao out. A group of them didn't even have the power to detonate the magic light cannon. And the incandescent streamer ray passed by, rushed towards them and shot obliquely into the sea at the same time, almost rubbing against the pirate ship of all beasts. Immediately, a terrifying big bang appeared. The surface of the sea boils, and the light blooms from under the water. Accompanied by hundreds of meters of huge waves, the fleet of beasts was directly engulfed. Except for the main ship, the other ships were overturned by the waves. The tide was surging, and the red-haired Shank's red force was fully prepared, but also tilted, and pushed to the outside with the tide. Do you want to be so fierce? Fei Lubao and the others were defeated by one blow. Rakiru, Usopp and others were stunned. Shanks and Beckman gritted their teeth tightly, staring at Xia En above. Others were shocked by such power, and their eyes were dull. But almost at the same time, the magic light cannon exploded below. The attacks of Kaido, Quinn, and Jin also fell on Susanoo. The phantom body didn't even have a blocking posture this time, and it was still attacked by Kaido and others. Under the turmoil of 2 loud noises, Xia En finally felt that Susanoo was successfully shaken by Kaido, and the vibration was transmitted in. It appears that only Conqueror's Haki's entangled attack can affect Susanoo. Chapter 68. 5 times Realm King Fist. Open. 1 hard steel 2-4 Emperor's Regiment. Outrageous. Damn it. Kaido turned his head and saw the miserable situation of the Fei Lubao, and cursed loudly. However, roaring 8 trigrams didn't work, and he could only retreat quickly. Xia En glanced back, raised her hand and fired another magic light kill. But this time the target is not Kaido, but Flame Ember. Get out of the way. Quinn noticed Xia En's intentions below, and shouted hastily. Kaido gritted his teeth and swung his mace at Susanoo again. It was able to be smashed last time, and it will definitely be able to be smashed this time. As for Xia En's attack, he didn't care at all, he only wanted to attack crazily in his eyes. Jin felt a terrifying sense of crisis enveloping him in an instant, and dodged subconsciously. The figure was just parallel and ready to fly away. But in the next second, the beam of light swept over his chest in an instant, destroying a small half of the mask, and blood spattered. The magic light cannon shot straight into the sky, exploded with brilliant light, and scattered a large swath of low clouds. Jin let out a scream, revealing a small part of his face where he could see the pain, passing from his chest to his cheek. There was a bloodstain, the flesh and blood were visibly ferocious. Quote! Quote. Kaido was still on the way to attack at this time, and finally noticed Jin's miserable state. But he didn't stop, waving the mace and dragging Wanjin Black Thunder towards Susanoo with a yell. Snatch Thunder after drinking. Yin Naluo. He had been drinking all the time on the boat, and now he just entered a drunken state. But the invincible attack still failed to open the strong fortress of Susanoo. Xia En raised her eyes slightly, and with a thought, Susanoo stretched out her arms and caught Kaido's mace firmly. The Black Thunder raged on Susanoo's body, but it couldn't affect Xia En inside at all. At this time, Xia En frowned, feeling that she was wasting too much time. He said coldly, I'm in a hurry now, get out of the way, Kaido. Do you want to go back to help out? Impossible, Xia En. Don't even think about leaving today if you don't have a real match with me. Kaido grinned fiercely. If 06 were alone, he would have let Xia En go, but at this moment, the red-haired Shanks and his gang were still watching the match, so Kaido couldn't bear to let Xia En go. Even though Fei Lubao and Jin were both injured by heavy blows at this time, Kaido still wanted to continue the fight with Xia En, and it seemed that Xia En would not dare to waste his energy too recklessly. You are really troublesome. Xia En, who wanted to complete the task quickly, was helpless, and decided to completely suppress the beast's pirates, so that Kaido could clearly recognize the gap. Kaido stared fiercely at Xia En and laughed, the haki all over his body rose again and exploded, waving the mace and began to attack Susanoo continuously. He thinks that Xia En maintains such a big illusory giant, it is impossible to be so strong everywhere, trying to find out where Susanoo is weakest. I can't bear it anymore. Xia En let out a low growl, his eyes glowing with silver light. If you want to quickly solve the trouble of Kaido, you still have to use Kaiwankwan. And it's not twice as much as before, it's 5 times. With Xia En's current physical strength, it is enough to support 10 times the Kaio fist for a few minutes, so using 5 times the consumption is equivalent to the consumption of the Kaio fist in the previous battle. Opened decisively, a whirlwind erupted around Xia En, even within the envelopment of Susanoo, it could not cover the majestic momentum of Kaioken. Kaioken, 5 times, open, explosive flames soared into the sky all over the body. The ferocious momentum swept away like a storm. Kaido was still scrambling for the mace, but at this moment he was taken aback, and his pupils trembled and quickly pulled away. This momentum. Kaido recognized that this was the advanced armed body that fought with Xia En before, Kaiwankwan. But Xia En, who saw the heavens and the earth, the momentum directly blasting away the thick clouds in the sky, forcing the sea to be rough and the wind tossed, was astonished in his heart. Why is it so much stronger than last time? How many days has it been? 3 days. Kaido was a little dazed seeing this rising momentum. Is there really anyone in the world who can improve so much strength in a short period of time? However, Xia En, who was exuding explosive power all over his body, told him that this was the reality. And at this time, the red-haired Shanks, Beckman, Lakiru, Usopp, Hongo, Snake, etc. were all taken aback and their eyes widened. This monster, it can continue to improve its strength. Hongo, Snake, Punch and the others had never seen Xia En's Kaiwang fist at all, and they were so shocked that they secretly swallowed their throats. He was able to easily injure Flying Six Cells and Jin just now, and shoot a powerful beam of light. Now with this kind of improvement, wouldn't Kaido be under control? It's a tie between the two of them. King Fist. Beckman and Lakiru both experienced it and knew the name of the move, so they couldn't help being surprised at the moment. Is this the form? It's scary. His strength improvement is crazy. Shanks turned serious to ultimate, and even said with some concern. Under the perception of knowledge, the current gun's body is full of hot sun-like explosions. The improvement after his use last time was not so huge. Beckman said in affirmative. Since the battle, he has paid the most attention to Xia En, carefully studying every move and style, and deeply remembering it in his mind. But still underestimated Xia En's outrageous talent. Then I'll give you a chance. Kaido, all of you beasts go together. Xia En decided to make a thunderous move and beat Kaido so hard that he didn't dare to block the way. If he really didn't know what to do, let him try and fail completely today. As soon as the voice fell, a burst of flight immediately took the initiative to attack. Move freely. Susanoo also followed Xia En's body posture changes. Huge fist swing directly at Kaido. You're finally getting real. Kaido felt inexplicably happy at this moment. It seems that the anger in my heart has dissipated a lot. There is no way, just seeing Xia En standing there without moving will hurt so many people before, it is very aggrieved, but now that he is moving, he feels that it is a huge improvement and he is happy. But when Xia En's fist struck, Kaido didn't dare to be careless. Before the fist arrived, the whistling air pressure shock and the sound of wind arrived first. Roar Thunder 8 trigrams. The attack speed of the fist is not that fast, and Kaido has enough time to perform his moves. Thundering an advanced version of 8 trigrams, entangling Conqueror's Haki's attacks are powerful. The Black Thunder roared, the mace exploded in size out of thin air, and it ruthlessly collided with Susanoo's fist. In an instant, the collision of the two forces erupted with a strong impact. Spreading in midair, it can be seen with the naked eye that it looks like a ripple spreading. Can contend for less than 5 seconds, Thunderbolt is defeated. Xia En was even better, she poured out her strength and knocked Kaido into the air. Shooting backwards like a cannonball, Kaido almost lost his hand 8 times, and the center of the backwards flying with numb arms was horrified. His strength has exploded. It is really shocking that it is no longer at the same level as the last Kaiwankwan promotion. Master Kaido. Jin, who just stabilized his figure and was floating in midair with his hands on his chest, couldn't help but exclaim. Immediately shouted at the crowd below, "Let's go together." The members of Beast's Pirates have seen how powerful Xia En is, and he can even fly pictures. But the current situation forced them not to do anything. The auxiliary ship that was not overturned hurriedly turned the muzzle, and carried various guns and artillery up under the command of the injured real fighters. And the man-made demon fruit power also stepped up to do it. If you want to attack Xia En flying in the air, you must be able to step on the air and rush up, otherwise you can only use long-range attacks on the boat. Therefore, facing Xia En, their numbers are insignificant, and apart from Fei Lubao, few people can keep up. Use poison gas. At this time, Quinn gritted his teeth and issued an order to all the beast pirates. They moved very quickly, just when Xia En was about to chase Kaido and left directly. Thousands of poisonous gas bombs are launched quickly from below. It was originally unable to hit the flying Xia En, but it was detonated early under Quinn's muzzle, forming a large cloud of poisonous gas, which happened to surround Xia En. Taste my latest poisonous gas. Quinn laughed arrogantly, very confident in his poison gas. After all, in this respect, even the current Vegapunk is not as good as him. As a result, Jack was full of horror and said next to him, "It's useless. Poison gas is useless to him. Brother Quinn. Last time, those poisonous gases couldn't corrode the illusory giant at all. This is my latest development, it's different." Quinn didn't take it seriously at first, but the words in his throat stopped abruptly, and a pair of eyeballs were about to protrude. The purple cloud of poisonous gas was suddenly torn apart. An orange-red illusory giant hand stretched out from it. 1. The hurricane rolled, and most of it was blown away. Xia En, shrouded in arrogance, glanced at the 3 ships below and pointed his finger. The magic light cannon explodes, and the streamer falls. No matter how fast Quinn and Jack reacted, it was too late, and they said in horror, "Go." Bang! The light beam penetrated the boat under their feet and fell into the sea water. Immediately after, a terrifying explosion overturned the only 3 remaining auxiliary ships. Hundreds of meters of waves exploded. Quinn led Jack, followed by some real fighters. The flying 6 cells stepped into the air, and were thrown into the sky by the impact of the explosion below. One hit and it's ruined. The cadres of Red Hair Pirates, Rockyru and Lime Jones, were sweating profusely. The words in their throats were interrupted by the surging waves, and they were holding on to the railing of the boat. Thousands of 5 auxiliary ships of Beast's pirates were directly sent into the sea by Xia En's finger pistol. The power of the magic light killing cannon blessed by the 5 times realm King Fist is no joke. However, Kaido's main ship is considered to be a ship of the same level as Red Force, and it was able to hold on and not sink into the bottom of the sea, and the people on it also persisted. Quinn, Jack, Fei Liaopao and others also fell back to the main ship, looking at Xia En with horror. But at this time, Xia En didn't look down after using a magic light cannon. Even if it was a spectacular scene, it wasn't worth watching. His target is still Kaido. During the time when the poisonous cloud was shrouded, Kaido had already turned around, and the whole body of the dragon man became bigger, holding a mace and attacking again with a look of unbelief. At the same time, in order to cooperate with Kaido, Jin knows that his attack may not cause much damage to Xia En, but he also decisively goes out. Guard the Fire Dragon Emperor. The flame of racial talent should not be poured out like money, it will be poured continuously on the long sword in hand. Until, when the huge flame was bigger than Jin's body, it suddenly smashed towards Xia En. This 583 huge fire dragon almost covered Xia En's entire field of vision, and all he could see was flames. I don't stop when I'm hurt. It's poisonous gas and flames again. Xia En feels quite trouble. They didn't even intend to pay attention to Jin's attack, but at this moment, a fire dragon of the same type that was even bigger than the one that Jin swung appeared. It's Kaido's stunt. Fire Dragon Torch. In a short period of time, Kaido rushed forward, took the opportunity to transform into a green dragon, and used this trick at the same time. What's different from last time is that Kaido has a shadow in his heart, and he doesn't intend to carry the fire dragon to hit him at all, but let the fire dragon rush out alone, just like Jin's moves. That's great. But Xia En also quickly realized that her breath was wrong. Kaido's aura is much stronger than Jin's aura. Once the fire dragon torch comes out, it can be easily sensed even if it is out of sight. Until the Guardian Fire Dragon Emperor exploded in front of Susanoo, a terrifying flame dragon appeared, only 10 meters away, with an unimaginably scorching breath, as if in the air. The rooms are twisted under high temperature. Dragon 8 trigrams. Kaido has attacked Susanoo many times, and he seems to have realized how strong it is, but he thinks that his move will definitely break Xia En's defense. Last time, Xia En still used the Night Guy to defeat the fire dragon and kicked Kaido. But this time, Xia En raised her finger. And Susanoo also raised the phantom finger. The 2 actions are synchronized. Next moment, Susanoo plus magic light cannon, the combination of the 2, burst out amazing light from the illusory fingers. It seemed like a small sun, overshadowing the fire dragon attacking in front. Magic light cannon. This is like increasing the muzzle, from a 7.62mm barrel to a 762 caliber muzzle. It was just a beam of light that was a little smaller than the fire dragon erupted, and the intense light emitted was reflected on everyone's faces. Immediately, the light beam collided with the fire dragon brazenly. Amidst the strange sound, the fire dragon's head was consumed first, sparks splashed, and the attached Conqueror's hockey turned into a lightning burst. However, a look of horror appeared on Kaido's face, and when he saw the fire dragon's head being melted by Xia En's beam, he quickly turned the green dragon's body to avoid it. The fire dragon torch can't handle Xia En's finger pistol at all. There was a bang. The flames exploded completely in the air, turning into clusters of fire and falling down, while the Mogon light cannon continued to shoot towards Kaido without any hesitation. Kaido tried his best to dodge early on, but fortunately he dodged early, otherwise there would be no reaction time at all. He couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat at the passing streamer. Chapter 69 Reject Shank's face and start the free in extreme mode. Advertise here. Not knowing how far the light beam shot into the air, Kaido circled his body, not daring to think about the explosion behind him. At this moment, the bottom of my heart was already trembling. How terrifying was the blow just now. If you get hit, you will get hurt. How did he become so strong in just a few days? Kaido, who was roaring in his heart, was both shocked and complicated. As the Emperor of the Sea, he has never seen such a genius from the past to the present. It seems that there will be no bottleneck in the improvement of strength. Rocks, Roger and other figures are eclipsed in front of him. At this moment, Kaido also had to admit Xia En's pervert. However, the mood was complicated and turned, and there was no time to take the next step. Suddenly, a strong sense of crisis emerged. Kaido raised his eyes subconsciously, and saw a huge illusory giant appearing, because the hand was directly grabbing towards his body. Damn it! After a moment of distraction, Xia En was already in front of her. Fighting is a process of intense confrontation. How could Xia En miss the opportunity and stay there waiting for you to attack me back and forth? Time is running out. I have already made up my mind to take the initiative. Susanoo's imaginary big hand directly grabbed Kaido's tail, pulled it up with a powerful force, and immediately swung it like a long whip. Kaido's green dragon body is the long whip rope, and the flame cloud under his feet can't resist Xia En's power at all. At this time, above the sky, the magical light-killing cannon erupted by Susanoo finally bloomed, and a bright and intense white light shone down. The red-haired group and Quinn and the others on the boat on the sea only saw the huge figure grabbing the green dragon figure and swinging it back and forth. From time to time, a beam of light under the backlight hit the figure of Qinglong. Jin was stunned, his eyes were full of horror, and he didn't even know the pain in his body. Toru completely suppressed Kaido. Under the backlight, the figure turned into a shadow-like existence, but the red-haired group could still see clearly, and they were shocked. Those members all swallowed their throats wildly, it was too dry. I have never seen that many of the strongest creatures are held and thrown like a rope in the form of a green dragon. The scariest thing is that Kaido still can't break free. It wasn't until the light faded that everyone could see it more clearly. Xia En stood inside Susanoo's forehead, raised her finger, and the light beams fired from time to time hit the swinging Kaido mercilessly. If you stop, everyone can see that many dragon scales on Kaido's body have been blown off, and the wounds on Kaido's body are very hideous. And the Kaido that was swung and spun created a huge hurricane, which affected the turbulence of the sea below and created a tsunami. Wave after wave pushed the boat to sway left and right, further and further away. Shank's face was shocked, but also had a dignified determination. At this time, Kaido was dizzy and the pain was unbearable. Xia En didn't continue, feeling the same, and threw him away. No. In fact, Kaido still has a very strong consciousness, wants to resist, wants to continue to stabilize his body and fight. If he takes out that kick again, can I handle it? Last time, a large piece of his body was directly kicked off. At this moment, Kaido hesitated, and had an idea. Looking at Kaido who was flying away, Xia En didn't continue to pursue him, but glanced at Jin and the other members of the Beast's pirates below. In the end, who dared to look at Xia En at this time? Everyone was terrified. How could they have the intention to go up and fight again? If you are wise, you will be born this time. Participating in Summit War is business, meeting Kaido is just an accident. Xia En is quite clear on this point. Regardless of how vigorously he was thrown, Kaido also suffered a lot of injuries, but they were all skin traumas, at most hitting flesh and blood. For Kaido who was perverted and resilient, it only took a few minutes. And the Beast's pirates are very dark. If you keep pestering them, you may not know how to fight against yourself. Although it doesn't matter, Xia En has no intention of continuing to fight. Glancing away, he wanted to fly away. As a result, at this time, just started. The red-haired Shanks below sensed Xia En's intentions, and the direction of flight was not where Kaido flew upside down. He didn't want to go after Kaido. Just now I thought that Kaido might not be able to stop Xia En. Shanks is already determined to stop Xia En. Make a decisive decision without hesitation, and make a move of, God avoid. It seems to be back to attacking Xia En for the first time a few days ago. Shanks is very fast, much faster than Kaido. The black and red slash was like a huge shock wave enough to cover Susanoo from head to toe. At this moment, Shaen also sensed the arrival of God's avoidance, and when she looked back, she couldn't help frowning. Again, hit a Kaido, and get red hair to F*K yourself. Susanoo immediately blocked with a backhand, and with a bang, the strong impact fell on the phantom body. Conqueror's Haki's attack shatters Susanoo's surface. But this time, Shank's serious version of the evasion consumed all the kinetic energy, and Shank's evasion could no longer smash Susanoo's illusory body. Think back to the time before, when Xia En had just evolved, Iron Body, to get Susanoo. Shank's restrained divine avoidance smashed it into pieces with one blow, causing Xia En to fly backwards to the ground. You want to stop me too? Xia En froze for a moment, looked at the red-haired Shanks who was standing in front of her, and said helplessly. It's really troublesome one by one, can't I just come back after completing the task? If you don't pass, the summit war will be over. Xia En estimates the time, it will be a while before Whitebeard and the three admirals get started. Xia En, you can't go to war. Shanks is obviously not that willing to block, after all, where the strength is, Kaido is suppressed and beaten. In Xia En's heart, she called out to her mother, the Pacific police are too lenient, right? Speechless. Your strength has improved too much, and Kaido is beaten by you. If you join Marineford, Whitebeard will definitely lose, he can lose, but nothing can happen. Shanks wanted to explain, but he didn't know how to persuade Chong En in the middle of the sentence. I can only continue to say, even if it is to save face, don't go to war. The balance of power in the sea is very important. Xia En opened her mouth, and instead of saying a word, she complained in her heart. Come on, face fruit ability. But if you don't go, how is it possible? Fighting them is not beneficial at all. To put it bluntly, even if you kill them all in this kind of battle, it is not good for you. Fame doesn't matter, strength is the key, so how can system tasks, such simple tasks, be missed? So Xia En finished complaining in her heart, and said without hesitation, no. If you keep going on, the summit war will really be over. The rewards will be missed in vain. Clearly rejecting Shanks, Xia En wants to continue flying. The result was 2 gunshots. The bullet with armament Haki hit Susanoo's body, causing ripples. Looking at the 2 flattened black bullets, Xia En lowered her head helplessly. On the red force below, Beckman and Usopp shot together. We don't want to fight with you either, but the boss has made it clear that you can't go to war. Beckman sighed. Now he can only experience collectively how strong Xia En is today, whether he can beat the red hair pirates after defeating 100 beasts. It seems that I shouldn't have shown mercy last time. Xia En was impatient, and her tone turned cold. Little ones, fight. Shanks knew that there was no point in talking, so he could only keep Xia En behind. The griffin in his hand ignited flames, stomped on the air, and rushed straight towards Xia En. The cadres of the red hair pirates also took action. Gabu opened his fangs and mouth, the flames gathered and turned into a streamer of artillery blasting out. The weapon in Lime Jones' hand was entangled with lightning, and he stepped on the air with a bang bang bang, trying to attack Susanoo with Shanks. Usopp aimed at the place where Xia En was on Susanoo's forehead, and directly fired 5 bursts of bullets strung together in a straight line, intending to hit Wonglong with Arankar. Others also made moves one after another, even Lakiru, who was in a cold sweat, attacked without hesitation. Besides Shanks, the best is Beckman. In the collective joint attack, they spared no effort to use the Conqueror's entangled bullets. It took longer to prepare than last time, the caliber is larger, and the power is stronger. On the spinning bullet, black lightning can be seen with the naked eye like a tentacle flying along with the spinning bullet, heading towards Xia En rapidly. All of a sudden, Xia En's eyes were full of attacks from the red hair pirates. But some attacks can be ignored directly, Xia En is more worried about Shanks. This guy who inherited Roger, apart from his sword skills comparable to Hawkeye, the most powerful is Haki. After all, Conqueror's Haki is the overriding power of the pirate world, and Xia En will naturally not care about it. So the first shot of the magic penetrating cannon was fired towards Shanks. Facing the white light beam, Shanks reacted more quickly than Kaido, and obviously beat Kaido in this area. Turning sideways, he was able to dodge the magic gun light killing cannon blessed by the 5x Realm King Fist, and swung the Griffin's sword in his hand to slash down. The path of this magic light killing cannon actually ends up falling on the red force side, so Shanks had to try to block it. As a result, the beam of the magic penetrating light kills the cannon, and the violent energy of the two merges, directly producing an explosion. Right in front of the red hair and Xia En. Xia En frowned slightly, not expecting him to do so. Shanks was directly sent flying by the fire shock wave. Boss! The people below exclaimed when they saw this. But at this time, the attacks of Gabu, Beckman and others also landed on Susanoo's phantom body. The series of attacks made Xia En visibly tremble. What's more, 5 bullets came in a row and hit Susanoo's forehead. Xia En saw the bullet squeezed and couldn't break through Susanoo, but the next second, the spinning Conqueror's coiled bullet struck. Hit exactly at the point where Usopp attacked. The place that caused Susanoo produced ripples, which spread all over the body. Xia En knows that this is very close to the critical point of being breached. After all, there was Kaido's crazy attack before, so it's not surprising that in the hands of red hair pirates, it can make some shocks. It's really unusual, you guys are able to shake it, which shows that the quality of red hair pirates is really higher than that of beasts pirates. Hey, I think what's the matter with this, let's get over it and leave. Shaen's mind turned, and she was not surprised by this result for long. But at this time, a huge saber energy came with black lightning. Shanks again. Shaen directly controlled Susanoo to grab the Black Thunder Saber Chi with both hands, and at the same time raised her finger to aim at Usopp and others below. The Iron-Walled Pirate Group, Strength. The most even for Emperor's pirate group, he will not ignore these guys like he ignores Quinn and others. Don't hide. Block his finger pistol together. Beckman's eyes were fixed, and he commanded everyone decisively. He also took the lead in shooting, and 3 bullets with hockey burst out. Usopp, Gabu and others also attacked on the trajectory of the magic gun light-killing cannon. At this time, Shank's slash fell on Susanoo's hands, and Shaen was a little surprised by the strong impact. It was not a sharp slash, but the impact of a push. Sure enough, his stable position was pushed back a bit, and immediately this slash was directly crushed in Unreal's big hands. At the same time, the Mogongwangshapao Li Nuos was successfully intercepted in midair by Beckman's strategy, causing a huge explosion. Amidst the light, Shaen sighed softly. As a result, Kaido, Jin, Quinn and others unexpectedly teamed up to attack Shaen from behind. Mace Smash, Dragon Blast, Laser. The bang sounded on Susanoo's body almost at the same time, which made Shaen feel the shock even after being hit continuously. Almost forgot. Kaido still refuses to give up, how annoying. Being hit back and forth, Beckman also has a solution. Ha 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 ha, Shaen, let me see how you go. Kaido's arrogant voice came. This made Shaen feel like a waste of time. Although Red Hair and 100 Beasts did not team up, fighting one after the other took too much time and energy, and with the passage of time, Shaen also. Feel the pressure. Fine, this reward must not be missed. It seems that we are going to get serious. I secretly frightened and decided to stick. Shaen took a deep breath, and glanced at the people in the front and back who were waiting in line. If he continued to fight like this, even though he was blessed with the 5 times Realm King Fist, he had the confidence to deal with everyone, but after the fight like this, it is estimated that Summit War will be cleaning up the battlefield. The only way to make them give up is to use stronger and sharper moves. Ultra Instinct. Just go for it, quick fix. Yi Gai consumes too much, it is a killer move, and it will definitely consume a lot of physical strength. Shaen simply showed the newly realized free will. In the state of extreme intention, a 10-mile radius is a place of control, which is 5 times more powerful than the Kaiwanquan, and Shaen probably has unexpected abilities. So, in the eyes of the red-haired group and the laughing Kaido, Shaen actually walked out of Susanoo's body. Chapter 70 White's brand new attitude, the collective failure of knowledge and knowledge. Advertise here. When something goes wrong, there must be a demon. Shanks focused his gaze, and stepped back a little vigilantly. Under Susanoo's defense, a group of people attacked continuously without breaking through, and Shaen was safe and sound all the time, even just lifting a finger during the battle. With such a huge advantage, Shaen actually took the initiative to come out. Beckman repeatedly reminded the cadres not to act rashly. Shaen, who seemed to be unprotected, stepped out on purpose, which might be dangerous. The safest way is to see what he wants before doing it. At this time, Kaido laughed out loud. Are you giving up resistance? Huh. It looked like Shaen had given up and rushed to join the battle, deliberately showing that he would not fight. Unexpectedly, Shaen didn't sweep Kaido, who was covered in injuries, he just looked at the red-haired Shanks in the group, and said calmly, since we must continue the fight, then just now is a warm-up. The real battle begins now. As soon as this remark came out, everyone present was stunned. Shanks, who was already dignified enough, couldn't help but gritted his teeth and looked at Shaen with extreme vigilance. Could it be that without that illusory giant, can he display his true strength? Beckman was also shocked by the speculation. Kaido sneered, seeing the hesitation of the red-haired group, flicked the mace, and shouted, come on. Red-haired are timid, we won't. Indeed, Kaido has become more and more courageous as he fought, and being thrown by Shaen didn't make him long-term memory, and he wanted to mobilize the red-haired group to attack. But at this moment, the surrounding atmosphere was violently shaken, especially obvious. Even the weaker guys on the boat below had a moment of dark vision and shortness of breath. The turbulent sea, the ships, and the clouds in the sky all seemed to be shaken by some kind of force for a moment. The thunder subsides, the wind and waves are silent. This kind of momentum. Beckman's eyes widened suddenly, and he wanted to stop Shaen desperately. No, you shouldn't just look at it like this. But it was too late. Both Shanks and Kaido, who started, froze, looking at Shaen in disbelief. What kind of power is this? Not hockey, not abilities. Accompanied by these movements, Susanoo behind Shaen slowly disappeared. Standing calmly in the void, clenched his fists, and softly uttered 4 words, extremely free. Shaen's skin, hair, and whole body seemed to be drawn with 800 silver-white lines. It seemed to be slow, but it was actually extremely fast. After everyone reacted to this visual effect, Shaen was already exuding a soft silver-white light. Even the pupils of the eyes exude a circle of silvery white, and the hair that has grown a lot has turned white. Under the faint light, this gesture made everyone present gasp. Why do I feel this way? Rakiru, Gabu, Usopp and other cadres looked at Xia En with an indescribable feeling. Shanks, Kaido was even more amazed, and even felt tense at the same time. They are the four emperors. The man who stands at the top of the pirates actually becomes nervous because of a certain form opened by Xia En. Both Shanks and Kaido himself sensed the outrageous emotion. You must know that Xia En does not have the so-called oppressive feeling of Conqueror's haki at this time. If you don't pay attention to his silver-white form at this time, he is actually like an ordinary person, contradictory and real, which is indescribable. But at this time, Beckman gave a sense of absurdity that surprised everyone and even took a breath. This form of him, does he look like a god? The inconceivable tone reveals Beckman's bold guess. God, just having this word in people's hearts is very remarkable. This said, Shanks, Kaido and others even felt that the description was very appropriate. There was no fluctuation in Xia En's eyes, which could reveal emotions originally, as calm as a pool of stagnant water. Involuntarily, everyone was surprised but at the same time unable to refute their own apt feelings. Bring it on. Xia En still had emotional fluctuations in her heart, and what they didn't even know was that with the opening of the ultimate intention of freedom, a wave of fighting spirit slowly rose. It's just that in this form, it won't show up on the surface at all. A light sentence, let Shanks, Beckman and others be on high alert, staring at Xia En. But Xia En is the primary target on Kaido. This cowhide plaster, the first time to solve it can defeat others faster. However, in the state of free mind, as soon as the thought appeared, Xia En turned into a white streamer and instantly appeared in front of Kaido. The distance between the two is not very far, Agai, let alone still in the air. The sudden movement suddenly appeared in front of him, and the indifferent eyes directly frightened Kaido's eyes. He gritted his teeth and retreated without hesitation. Before the falling flame cloud took him to fly backward, En's hand directly grabbed Kaido's body. Boy, do you think you can scare me by taking the initiative? Kaido felt a bit of shame and anger at his subconscious avoidance behavior, opened his mouth and shouted angrily, and held a mace in the other hand and wanted to hit Xia En directly. But before the mace was raised, Xia En's fist hit Kaido's face like lightning. Fast. Incredibly fast. It was so fast that no one else could see Xia En's punching action clearly, and he punched without any warning, as if he didn't need to think about it. Touch it. Kaido quickly felt dizzy and tinnitus, and his nose felt warm. Only he understands, not only fast, Xia En's fist strength can hit him directly and hurt him. The nosebleed followed Kaido's head thrown back by the blow, and it was too late to speak, and almost as soon as the fist was retracted, Xia En's leg kicked out violently. It's also so fast that others can't see it clearly. Kaido in the Dragon Man form was unable to resist even with a little reaction speed, and was directly knocked into the sea water. The whole process is only 1 second or 2 seconds. Kaido actually had to react and couldn't keep up with Xia En's attack. Governor Kaido. Jin was just behind Kaido, seeing Xia En's 2 shots approaching ultimate with his own eyes. Kaido plunged into the sea like a kite with a broken string. It is not good to fall into the sea as a capable person. Fortunately, Quinn quickly rescued the remaining minions. Seeing this scene, Shanks, Beckman and others watched in shock, their pupils vibrating. Kaido is a bit careless, but Xia En has also become very strong. Speed, strength, reaction. All have reached an unimaginable level. Beckman analyzed, feeling his scalp tingling. Is this guy a god or a monster? We can't let him break one by one. Shanks reacted the fastest. Seeing that Kaido was knocked into the air by Xia En, he rushed over without hesitation. On the Red Force, the cadres saw the boss rushing forward, and they also took action one after another. Without the illusory giant defense, Xia En's speed became very fast, or he only showed his speed until now. But at the same time, the defense must be lower, which makes everyone think that there may be no chance. As long as Xia En takes a hit, it will be clear. As a result, the fastest Shanks turned into a black shadow, and at the same time, the black electricity of Conqueror's haki was densely covered, and a powerful oppressive force directly enveloped Xia En. Rely on the effect of Conqueror's haki to suppress its actions. This is one of the usages of Conquerors, which is very effective against fast opponents. At this time, Xia En also seemed to be affected. Looking back with indifferent eyes, she didn't make any movements. Until Shanks' bright griffin cuts vertically. With the blessing of Conqueror's haki, which has the effect of air attack, Shanks is sure to attack Xia En directly at this distance. But in the end, just when he was about to succeed, Xia En's body was slightly sideways, and the long sword wrapped around Conqueror's haki was actually stuck, and he avoided the slash by a hair. What a wonderful feeling. Xia En sighed in her heart. Where is the appearance of being affected by Conquerors? In the Ultra Instinct state, even the terrifying Conqueror's haki couldn't suppress Xia En's actions, and even controlled all the movements of the audience. There is no need to think about how to fight at all, and the body will instinctively make the best response. For example, now, Xia En has not yet thought of fighting back when she is slightly sideways. The finger has already been raised, and the light of the magic cannon lights up. A silvery white light shone on Shanks' face, and a look of disbelief flashed across his twins. How come? Xia En dodged an inevitable blow so lightly. Moreover, his attack is just around the corner. Call out. At close range, Gux even heard the faint sound of the eruption of the magic gun. Almost at the same time, he retracted the knife, and raised the speed with all his strength, so that the blade blocked Xia En's finger. Immediately, the sound of booming resounded through the sky, and the silver-white blooms turned into flames, throwing Shanks flying. And Xia En's figure did not know when she had already stood at a higher altitude, and her face was still as calm as water. The red-haired Shanks is really powerful. In this case, he even slightly blocked the magic gun. Xia En sighed inwardly. If it were Kaido, he would have been hit by the beam at this time. Under the thrilling close reaction, a little cold sweat broke out on Shanks' head, and he stared at Xia En solemnly before he stabilized his figure. If this blow is real, I'm afraid the injury will be worse than that of Kaido, right? But at this moment, the battle is not over. Xia En's position didn't move much, the fire just dimmed, and rushed up in the shape of her body. Beckman, Gab, Lime Jones and others burst into the air. And all of this has long been firmly grasped by Xia En, and there is no surprise in her eyes. Followed by their lasers, bullets, blades, a powerful attack. But in the blink of an eye, Xia En's figure was indistinct, like a silver-white streamer flashing left and right. Lime Jones and others felt that their eyes were dazzled, and then all the attacks had failed. Xia En was still floating there, looking at everyone calmly. What a speed! Beckman, Lakilu and the others all reacted in surprise, they had never seen anyone who could display such a fast speed. The scary thing is that Xia En doesn't have too many forward moves at all. It's like a plain horizontal movement, weird and amazing. However, at this time, more people from the Red Hair Pirates joined the Lord of Attack. After all, Xia En standing alone in the air is a target, and the old god is still standing in place. In a blink of an eye, the artillery on the ship, the other people's blatant attacks, all kinds of dense and powerful waves of attacks blasted at Xia En. Even the terrified Rakiru makes a move, rolling into a meaty ball, covered in a slew of hockey attacks. Usopp, who took the chance to get a one-hit shot and pulled away. Ben Beckman, who was waiting for the opportunity, showed a look of surprise at this time. The color of knowledge and knowledge can't be used. Usopp, who was aiming with a musket, suddenly raised his eyes, and said to Shanks in shock. Me too. The color of knowledge and knowledge, it seems to be in nothingness, as if it is gone. Beckman stepped on the air and quickly looked for opportunities around Xia En. He raised his gun as soon as he heard Usopp's words, and locked in his knowledge. But it turned out to make his scalp tingle. With such a fast speed, Xia En's combat ability and reaction have improved unimaginably. If you don't have knowledge, you can't grasp it with just visual and auditory senses. How to fight this? Xia En was in a state of comfort, casually and easily dodging the attacks below, without even thinking. At the same time, the words to them were also received in the ears, and his eyes swept away, and there was no surprise in his heart. Sure enough, one of the effects of Ultra Instinct is so powerful that all perceptions such as knowledge and color are invalid. And at this time, far more than that, Kaido was just caught by his subordinates, gasping for air. Seeing that the red-haired group was besieging Xia En, he wanted to rush forward to attack. Like Beckman and Shanks, the powerful attack still needs to find the right opportunity to strike, so that Xia En, who has no protection from the Phantom Giant, will be hit directly. Hearing the horror of Beckman and Usopp, I didn't feel it at first, but just disdain their observation hockey. Can't even lock on the color of knowledge. HMPH. He complained unhappily, and the flame cloud on his feet flew up quickly with him. At this moment, Shanks also exclaimed in surprise, I can't even foresee the future. The most powerful way to use observation hockey is to foresee the future, and you can even see the future for a minute. But Shanks felt that his knowledge and knowledge had fallen into the void and darkness. He obviously still had it, but he just couldn't use it. No matter how calm it is, it meets all the conditions of use, it just doesn't work. Only then did Kaido focus his eyes, and a red light flashed in his eyes. He also tried to use the color of knowledge to predict the future. However, for an instant, he himself was stunned, and he didn't even continue to fly over, his heart was full of shock. What exactly is going on? Xia En greeted the intensive attacks of the red hair pirates calmly, dodging those attacks with the smallest movements. Until the attack wave passed, the people below were a little tired from fighting, but Xia En was still standing at the same place from the beginning. Shanks, this is most likely Xia En's status effect at this time. Beckman gritted his teeth and said solemnly. Chapter 71 Xia En opens the night guy, Shanks opens the god killing, the strongest scene is staged. Advertise here. The silver-white light reflected Xia En's body into a white-haired shape, and everyone became more and more frightened in the indescribable feeling. In the intensive attack, Xia En dodges easily, even with a small body width, with ease. Especially after Beckman, Shanks, Kaido and others found that their observation hockey had completely disappeared, they all became cautious to ultimate. Xia En, without the protection of the Phantom Giant, is even trickier. Xia En tilted her head slightly, dodging the final bullet. Finally there was a wave of fluctuation on her indifferent face, and the corners of her mouth slightly curled up. Immediately, Standing Void did not move its position, and raised its finger. Seeing this action, Kaido, Shanks, Beckman, Lakilu and others all changed their expressions and put on a posture. He's going to use the finger pistol. Having suffered so much before, now seeing Xia En's familiar movements, they all know what to use. And the pirates at this time are obviously more vigilant and dignified. Their observation haki, including being so strong that they can foresee the future, are completely suppressed, and they must not underestimate C. Everyone be careful, spread out and wait for an opportunity. Shanks waved his hand and started to act first. He knew that he couldn't stand still and wait for the attack. After all, the speed of the light beam was too fast, and it would be easier to get hit if he lost observation haki's perception. If you get hit, I'm afraid even the cadres will not be able to bear it. Moreover, those who move can find angles to attack Xia En better. If it doesn't work once, it can always find opportunities twice or three times. When the voice has not yet fallen, the cadres of red hair pirates jumped into action. Although there is no observation haki can perceive Xia En's attack trajectory, but with flexible actions, dynamic vision and reaction ability, it will not be easily hit by Xia En. However, at this moment, Xia En seemed to ignore red hair pirate's plan, raised her finger to her side, and didn't even look back. The light blooms from the fingertips, and the rays that return to the form of the magic gun light killer burst out suddenly. Goal, Kaido. This guy didn't get knocked down back and forth, and he wanted to attack just now, so naturally the first target was on him. Kaido was actually more vigilant than Shanks. When he found that observation haki couldn't predict the future, he retreated tens of meters in a row. Unexpectedly, when he raised his eyes, the beam of light actually came towards him. Xia En, you. While yelling loudly, Kaido quickly dodges. He didn't expect to directly choose himself who was so far away as the primary target. However, no matter how fast you dodge, it is useless at this moment. The trajectory of the magic light killing cannon made everyone dazzled, including Kaido. He felt that he reacted and avoided it, but when he moved, he seemed to be actively facing the beam. Call out. A very soft sound piercing the air came to Kaido's ear. I saw the beam of light penetrated Kaido's shoulder, bringing blood and falling straight into the sea. Under the severe pain, Kaido's eyes widened, showing strong disbelief. What's going on? Didn't I escape? Although the color of knowledge and knowledge cannot be used, but with Kaido's reaction and visual dynamics, it is completely possible to grasp and avoid it. Even Beckman and the red-haired Shanks showed puzzled and surprised expressions. Kaido, what's going on? Is it too late? It is certain that Xia En's attack was faster, but in a very short time, it also penetrated Kaido's shoulder without seeing clearly. Kaido gritted his teeth, and took advantage of this opportunity to retreat with the help of the impact without looking back. Seeing that Kaido was interested, Xia En didn't continue to chase, but aimed at another person. Rakiru. It was obvious who Xia En was aiming at, and Lakiru was also in a cold sweat, but he didn't admit it and shouted, "Come on." Immediately rolled into a meatball, moving quickly in the air like walking on the ground, he didn't believe that Xia En could still hit him from such a long distance. At the same time, Shanks, Beckman and others gritted their teeth and launched attacks on Shanks one after another. Usopp held his breath and aimed at Xia En's finger with a long gun. He couldn't hit Xia En himself, so he wanted to stop the beam. An excellent sniper, even without the support of observation haki, he also has a solid foundation. You must know that when he is uninformed, Usopp can hit the antennae of ants without hurting other sharpshooters. Xia En turned a deaf ear to Shanks' slash and the attacks of Beckman and others, and kept moving, but her body naturally avoided all attacks strangely. This guy. Shanks gritted his teeth, eyes serious and helpless. The Xia En in front of him didn't look like a human at all, as if the whole sky was under his control, and it became more and more difficult to hit Xia En. Usopp below has been staring at Xia En, seeing that the attack by Shanks and others has not worked, he is always ready for the damage of the intercepting beam to his partners. But the moment the light shone on Xia En's fingers, Usopp hadn't had time to react and shoot. A scream. Rachel's back was scratched with blood from bottom to top, and fell down. Usopp was extremely shocked, he never thought that the attack could be so fast that even a sniper like him couldn't react. At this time, Xia En was calm without any waves. Whether it's dodging or attacking, within a range of 10 kilometers, absolutely grasp it. This state is indescribable, and it is far more than the simple fact that all the movements are under control. Xia En was amazed in her heart, and immediately chose the next target. Gabu, that big man with fangs and a cannon. Beckman, Shanks and others didn't stop for a moment, and when Xia En attacked, they also continued to attack. And Xia En's figure flickered in the air, dodging at will. But this time, Usopp still had no way to stop Xia En's attack, he couldn't react at all. Gabu was pierced through the chest by the magic light killing cannon, and almost his heart was pierced straight down. Shanks also became angry when two partners were injured in a row. Inheriting Roger's will, he attaches great importance to his partners, and as his anger rises, Conqueror's haki also begins to fill the entire sky, which is extremely depressing. Xia En was also attracted by Shanks' unseen aura, so she took a second look, but the target was still on his crew. There are too many people, and the most annoying thing when you have to go is the number of people on the other side, and it is annoying to go back and forth. Then, another magic light cannon pierced through the sky, heading straight for Beckman. Even Beckman wanted to use the bullets wrapped around Conqueror's hockey to resist, but at the moment of shooting, a long sword directly flew him away. The magic light cannon has changed from penetrating his chest to penetrating his arm. It was Shanks in rage to move Beckman away. He has already seen that the power of Xia En's finger pistol cannot be easily blocked by ordinary attacks at all, and the amount of hockey used by Beckman in a hurry is definitely not enough to resist. That's the truth. Beckman, who was kicked away by the back of the knife, has already fired a bullet, but it was directly annihilated by the beam, penetrating his left arm. The blood flowed all over the whole arm, and Beckman was really relieved. If Shanks hadn't used the back of the knife to avoid him, it would have penetrated his chest. And Beckman also found a key point, full of shock, and said to Shanks, his finger pistol, 100% hit. None of us can avoid it. And everyone was shocked that Xia En's finger pistol was stronger. Although it didn't skyrocket, Gabu, Lakilu and Beckman were powerless to resist, and even Conqueror's hockey was uselessly annihilated. Sacrificing the power of the explosion, and thus obtaining a terrifying beam that is invincible, infallible, and sure to penetrate. Everyone didn't understand, whether it was the Cadres or the Panicked Beasts pirates, they were all in a panic at the moment. Xia En's performance is really invincible. This guy, doesn't he have an upper limit? How strong is he? Every time he can improve greatly in a very short time. Kaido, Shanks are not able to take advantage of the slightest advantage in his hands, let alone the Cadres, they will be injured if they are shaken. Enough. Pulling Beckman away, Shanks roared in rage. The Red Conqueror's hockey was heading towards Xia En like a wave. However, this was enough to make the Conqueror's hockey, which even the vice admirals in naval headquarters couldn't withstand, fall on Xia En's body, like a breeze blowing on the face, without any effect. The state of free extreme intention will not be affected by this kind of mental oppression. But just when Shanks decided to break out, this wave of conquerors was just unintentional. What's even more intense is that at this time, Shanks burst out with black and red lightning bolts all over his body. Sharp eyes, red hair fluttering a little. The aura on his body is rising steadily, which is very amazing. Xia En has not fluctuated too much all this time, but at this moment there is also a seriousness in his eyes. 0. Seeking flowers. 4 emperors, very strong. Regardless of Ultra Instinct's special blessing and control range, Shanks' own aura is even stronger than his own. This is the true strength of one of the 4 emperors, the red-haired Shanks, and it is also the first time that he has shown his muscles openly. Even Kaido, who was wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, was stunned, and his expression became a little ferocious. In terms of strength alone, Shanks is even better than him. If he didn't have the strongest body in the world, he might be vulnerable in front of Shanks. So he felt a little ashamed and angry, and it was very uncomfortable to be compared. But the stronger the performance, the more dangerous Xia En is. This is what Kaido wants to see, and his mood becomes complicated. This is your true strength. Xia En looked on, showing interest, and the red hair also had the intensity to threaten Ultra Instinct. The riotous Conqueror's hockey is so huge that others can hardly believe it, but it is more than a little stronger than Kaido. Of course, this does not refer to strength, but refers to the amount and strength of hockey. But interested in nothing, Xia En glanced in Marineford's direction. Just stop here, you guys get out of the way and pretend nothing happened. I was beaten, and people were injured, can I pretend nothing happened? The hockey bursting from Shanks' body is the best answer, but he still refuses. Because Xia En hurt his partner one after another, although it was not fatal to keep his hand, Shanks still couldn't let it go. Even at this time, he decided to take the strongest blow and fight the last sword to make Xia En retreat. 0. Apparently Xia En also saw Shanks' plan, and frowned slightly. Are you sure you want to fight? There is no other way. Shanks' aura seems to have reached a certain critical point, holding a knife with one arm, a large amount of hockey poured into Griffin's blade. This makes the flashing hockey lightning much scarier than before. My move is called Killing God. Shanks, who showed his sharpness, raised his long knife, and his tone became heavy. It seems to be telling Xia En how terrible this knife is. How can it be called a god-killing move so simple? Pressure also appeared in Xia En's heart. Shanks' aura at this time can be said to soar into the sky, and the clouds are distorted. The terrifying hockey lightning burst out, and waves of storms continued to roll up. And there was already a huge storm under the ocean, causing the 2 big ships to sway on the water like toys. Boss is going to get angry. Usopp watched obsessively, such a scene was really the only one he had seen for a long time. Is that the move to kill God? This will consume almost all of your physical strength. Lakiru lay on the board of the boat, and said with some worry. If you can't hit it, you can't dodge it. It is wisest to use the big move for a decisive battle. Shanks plans this way, and we have to be prepared. Beckman planned ahead. Once Xia En was seriously injured or Shanks was exhausted, they would have to substitute Lujun. But with such a threat, Xia En felt that the power of the move was one thing, and it was also true that it was unpleasant. In that case, then let's fight. Fighting moves. Xia En has never been afraid of anyone in One Piece world. My most grand master is all kinds of big moves. Then, the words fell, and Xia En, who was wrapped in silver and white, burst into raging flames from the soft light. It is exactly the same shape as the previous Kaiwankwan. The explosive arrogance opened up the violent air pressure field, causing the surrounding wind to surge and clash with Shank's movements, causing the entire aura to become incomparably chaotic. What's even more frightening is that at that moment of solemnity, Xia En's aura was far more than an explosion, but the arrogance all over her body turned into blood. The moment of change. Blood-red air waves erupted and rolled in all directions. The terrifying momentum is completely released. Click. It seems that even Conqueror's hockey is cowering under this blood-red blast. The majestic momentum also rushed straight into the sky, and the outbreak of conflict with Shanks completely turned Tianmu into a vortex of terror. Looks like the end of the world is coming. Everyone was stunned, watching the confrontation between the two in the air in a daze. Everyone was so shocked that they couldn't speak, and their hearts were trembling. What a powerful and terrifying momentum. This is a duel that many people can't even imagine. The sea gradually became more turbulent and majestic, but Beckman, Usopp, Lime Jones and others didn't notice it at all. There are only 2 people in the sky left in my eyes again. Chapter 72. The red-haired group of the 100 beasts compromised, and everyone on the top was afraid of Xia En's appearance. Advertise here. The door of death is open. Xia En's full bloom opens the night sky. The red-haired group was already shocked, and stayed where they were in disbelief, sweating profusely. They could tell that Xia En's aura was not inferior to Shanks at all, and even exceeded it to a certain extent. How incredible. You must know that Shanks is the 4 emperors, a strong man who became famous 6 years ago. And Xia En has only been vice admiral for less than half a year, not to mention the power of his moves, but he is able to stand against each other in terms of momentum, causing such a scene. It is simply pervert beyond description. Quinn, Jin, the beasts pirates who were injured in the distance also gasped, their expressions were wonderful and their hearts were shocked. Little did they know that Kaido, the king of beasts, had cold sweat on his face and trembling pupils, remembering the shadow of being kicked by Xia En and losing his chest and abdomen. That's the trick that almost killed me. Can the red-haired guy stop it? After a while, Kaido came to his senses, suppressed the throbbing in his heart, and smiled coldly. The current situation seems to be good, and Xia En's move is definitely not that simple to use. It's like leaving after kicking off last time, it must be very expensive, and Shanks actually has this kind of whole card trick. If both sides are seriously injured, then the final winner of this battle will be FTE. I have to say that after Kaido reacted in the shadows, he made a good plan. But Kaido can stir up the shadow in his heart, how can Shanks not see the horror of Xia En at this moment? The crazily surging momentum continued to hit like a wave, and Shanks could feel the terrifying power that had not yet exploded from Xia En. The griffin in his hand has poured hockey into ultimate, and the bucket-thick hockey lightning feeds back from the air. 7-7. Shanks didn't know if he could pose an absolute threat to Xia En, who was also powerful. Moreover, he wasn't sure how to block Xia En's moves, so for a moment, he hesitated in his heart. But Shanks' eyes were solid, fixed on Xia En's body. The same is true for Xia En. Her eyes are locked on Shanks, and the contact between their eyes seems to stir up turmoil in the world, with constant waves of anger. The people below also became more and more nervous because of this, from the shock at the beginning, to the cold sweat, the throat was dry and swallowed, and their hearts rose to their throats with the apocalyptic momentum. But the moment Xia En raised her leg slightly, the blood-red flames shot up tens of meters. For a moment, Shanks was sweating coldly on his forehead, and between gritting his teeth, he actually restrained all his momentum. Never mind. Reluctantly, in a complicated tone, Shanks sighed, put down Griffin, the momentum on his body disappeared, and the black and red hockey lightning seemed to have never appeared. No way, he still didn't dare to bet on how terrifying Xia En's move was. The moment Xia En moved, a terrifying feeling as if an ancient beast woke up emerged. What would it be like for his godslayer to confront him? Also, Shanks noticed that Kaido was still there. If he really fights to the death with Xia En, he will be the one who will benefit in the end. Let him run to Marineford and make a fuss, same result. So Shanks gave up the offense anyway. Seeing this, Xia En didn't say anything, the aura of the door of death quickly subsided, as if it had never appeared before. It's hard to imagine that such a huge amount of energy can be sent and received freely in the hands of the two. The members of the Red Hair Pirates and Beasts Pirates below also let out a sigh of relief. I was really nervous just now, with such a powerful move, the aftermath will definitely be very strong, and those who are weaker will probably die if touched. And the momentum dissipated in just a few seconds, as if nothing happened. If it weren't for the clouds that were torn into pieces in the sky, and if it wasn't for the turbulent waves of the sea, everyone would have thought it was an illusion. The calm weather and the confrontation between the two are completely two extremes. Xia En took a deep look at the red-haired Shanks, and did not say anything more. The red aura disappeared, and then flew directly towards Marineford, and quickly disappeared into the air. He knew it was because Shanks didn't want to fight anymore, and with the deterrence just now, the others had already given up. Even Kaido didn't dare to stop him anymore, and the shadow in his heart remained. But Kaido is also very regrettable, and even scolded Shanks in his heart for cowardice, and actually gave up the move. Master Kaido. Jack stepped forward weakly at this time, wanting to ask Kaido what they should do. Xia En is gone, should I continue to confront the red hair or? Before he could say anything, Kaido glared at him impatiently. He was very unwilling, but he had no other choice, and said bitterly, "Go back. I have experienced a big battle with Xia En, and the consumption and injuries are more than that of the red-haired Shanks, especially the one who was injured by Xia En later, and he is still bleeding. In addition, after seeing the god killer that Shanks didn't kill, he has no interest in continuing to entangle, which is very bad for him, so he can only retreat. Red-haired bastard. And Xia En. I will definitely get the place back." Kaido secretly made up his mind to devote himself to cultivation when he returned home, and to develop and strengthen the army of capable people with all his strength. And watched Xia En go away. Shanks was worried and serious. I still can't stop him. Judging from Xia En's performance just now, it is absolutely capable of causing fatal damage to Whitebeard. This guy is horrible. If he played against Shanks, there is a good chance. Beckman knew it was wrong to say that, but it was the truth. How old is he? He can actually fight against the boss. Everyone saw the momentum just now. It's terrible. We couldn't hit him, but he casually hurt me. We really couldn't stop him. What I'm worried about will still happen. If he goes to Marineford, the Whitebeard pirates will definitely be in danger. Boss, what about us? Lakilu, Lime Jones, Beckman, Usopp and others gathered together, sighing that Xia En's strength is particularly terrifying, and asked. Go on to Marineford. Since we can't stop Xia En, we have to be there no matter what, and try our best to stop it. Shanks gritted his teeth and made up his mind. Although they didn't match up just now, they didn't give up on Marineford. It's just that Xia En is flying too fast, and their ship still needs some time. Everyone in the Red Hair Pirates had no objection, and immediately used the Red Force to brave the wind and waves. As for Kaido, they found that they had left unwillingly. After all, as long as you are not a fool, you will not continue to entangle, and the subordinates who sacrificed a boat will continue to fight head-on. And Xia En finally continued to catch up on the road, feeling a lot more relaxed. Wasted some time, should be able to catch up now. Marineford Square. The live broadcast to the whole world has been going on for a long time. From Marine's appearance to the appearance of Whitebeard's large ship group, Whitebeard showed the Shockfruit's earthquake power to destroy the world, making the world truly realize how terrible the strongest man in the world is. It can be seen that even 3 admirals are under a lot of pressure in Whitebeard's hands. Standing on the execution platform, Sengoku commanded Marine to fight solemnly. After all, naval headquarters is the home court, and they have the advantage in terms of numbers and weapons. It is difficult for the big pirates who are famous for their brutal fighting to maintain their indomitable momentum. Gradually, with Marine's frequent use of means, the situation on the battlefield changed, and the pirates became depressed. Then, on the frozen waves on both sides, a warship fell. Super Rookie Straw Hat Luffy, Hexia Jinbei, Buggy, Crocodile, Ivan and other prisoner pirates fell from the sky. Fall into the battlefield. Luffy yelled to rescue Ace and started the operation. In addition to the captains, the morale of the Whitebeard pirates was greatly boosted by Luffy's desperate momentum. The sudden change made Sengoku's face change. What a troublemaker. He knew that this was Garp's grandson, and because of the appearance of Straw Hat, the Whitebeard pirates naturally showed stronger fighting power. This is the role of morale, and even the marine fighters fighting below feel the pressure. But in the rear, Whitebeard, who was already on the ice, frowned and never opened his eyes. Sengoku, how long are you going to endure? Are you waiting for me? Whitebeard's heart was particularly heavy, because after fighting for so long, one of them never showed up. That is Xia En, a strength comparable to that of 4 emperors, arguably at the same level as Garp and Sengoku, cannot be ignored no matter what. Father. Their trump card hasn't come yet. Marco's body was stained with many battle marks, and when he took the opportunity to return to Whitebeard's side, he said worriedly. While he was fighting, he was observing. Everyone knows that Xia En, who is so strong at a young age, is definitely Marine's trump card. What is Marineford doing? It's impossible for him not to show up. Could it be that Marine is plotting something? Marco is increasingly concerned about Zero. So up to now, the magic soldiers have fallen from the sky, and the morale on the battlefield has recovered the situation, but the captains and Whitebeard have not been happy. We still have to break through the square. Whitebeard shook his head, indicating to deal with the present first, but he was always on guard against Marine's plot in his heart. The appearance of such a sad and depressed fight is also very puzzled by the newly joined human demon King Ivankov, Sand Crocodile, Jinbei and others. Dad seems very worried. Jinbei could see that not only the captains were fighting silently, even Whitebeard didn't show any expression. Crocodile, who was not far away, sneered and didn't say anything. Instead, Ivankov approached Jin Guduo, first helped him clean up the surrounding marines with the shemale boxing technique, and then asked, "Hey, what's the matter with you? Isn't the situation advancing now? We can definitely save people by breaking through." Yeah, everyone's morale is high, why do the captains feel wrong? Jinbei couldn't help asking at this moment. Jinbei, thank you for coming to help, but things are not that simple, there are still people in Marine who have not made a move. Jin Gudo didn't talk nonsense, and explained while advancing the battlefield. The 3 admirals have already made a move, who else hasn't made a move, are those 2 old men. The Sand Crocodile didn't know when it appeared on the side, and snorted coldly. He thinks that the Whitebeard pirates are too imaginative, who else can hide and not attack? Although Jin Gudo didn't want to talk to the crocodile, he still explained to Jinbei and others, it's Xia En. Xia En. I seem to have heard of. The young marine who blocked the red-haired knife. Is he going to cause everyone a lot of trouble? Only then did Jinbei realize that Marine has such a person. Before he was thrown into Impel Down by Akainu, he just heard about this report, but not about the others. Sand crocodiles, Ivankov and those who have been imprisoned in Impel Down for a long time don't know anything about it, and it's even the first time I've heard of Xia En's name. No, it's just trouble. If he appears, we will have a very difficult time, and may even fail directly. Jin Gudo said it almost in a low voice, and he didn't want to affect the morale of others. But these words still caused Jinbei and the others to hear their eyes widen. This statement is too exaggerated. Whitebeard pirates is not just one leader getting old, are they all getting old? The sand crocodile sneered, and the people from the Whitebeard pirates stared. He didn't understand what a marine who took a knife from the redhead had to worry about. It sounded great, but it wasn't worth mentioning to him. Crocodile. Jin Gudo sneered and said, if you have fought him before, you wouldn't dare to say that, don't underestimate him. Jinbei, just a few days after you went to jail, he fought Kaido on Dressrosa Island, saying it was a draw. Actually, that Xia En hurt Kaido. Jinbei was taken aback immediately. Kaido, even him, this is too scary. Of course he knows what a Kaido is. 4 emperors, as famous as Papa, and the enemy of the Whitebeard pirates. Hurt Kaido, what the hell is that Xia En doing? When Crocodile heard this, his heart trembled even more. As an opponent who has fought against Kaido, he certainly knows how perverted that guy's physical body is, at least when he was young, he never took advantage of it. HMPH, that guy is Marine's youngest vice admiral. His strength is comparable to that of the 4 emperors. Anyway, Jinbei, you must not be careless. Jin Gudo couldn't bear to talk to Crocodile. This guy attacked Dad when he came up, so he was very happy. He reminded Jinbei and others before continuing to charge. However, this news is very surprising to those who have just broken out of Impel Down. Ivankov, the cadre of the Revolutionary Army, finally understood why the captains of the Whitebeard pirates were not happy, and said to himself, Xia En. On the battlefield, Mahawk glanced at the audience. Seeing that Luffy squinted his eyes, he was observing the battlefield again, and only made a move from time to time. Doflamingo rides on a big man, controls with his fingers, and seems to be playing boringly, and there is no serious fighting at all. The eyes under the sunglasses are full of doubts. That Xia En guy. How come he hasn't shown up yet? Chapter 73 Impel Down is lost, Blackbeard blows Xia En, the old era is going to the top. Advertise here. Crocodile. Ivankov. Didn't expect Jinbei. Even he changed sides. Contact Impel Down now. Sengoku stood firmly on the execution platform, next to Ace, observing the battlefield below, gritted his teeth after being surprised. Sand Crocodile and the others are all prisoners of Impel Down. Now that they escaped and came here, something must have happened to Impel Down. Zon. Marshal Sengoku. Just wanted to report, Impel Down can't be contacted. On the steps to the execution platform, the Marine liaison officer was sweating profusely and reported. What? Sengoku couldn't help but raise his voice and shouted in disbelief. Impel Down, with iron walls, is known as the most terrifying prison. There are even more vicious criminals imprisoned inside. Now that the sand crocodile on the 6th floor, Jinbei has all come out, could it be, something went wrong? Especially on the 6th floor, once the prisoners inside escape, it will be too scary. Thinking of this, Sengoku couldn't help sweating on his forehead, and then felt a sense of powerlessness. Find a way to contact Impel Down. Yes, Marshal. The liaison soldiers quickly retreated. And Sengoku stood there worried. Naval headquarters is really unable to get out now, there is no extra troops to support Impel Down, and it is even impossible to send a team there. This matter can only be reported to the world government, and they will send people to investigate whether something really happened to Impel Down. But Sengoku knows that this is not a permanent solution. If they can't end the war in Marineford, they can't care about anything. Xia En, I can only hope you come back soon. Sengoku sighed expectantly. It is impossible to quickly resolve the war relying on today's tactics and numbers. Whitebeard alone standing in front of the Moby Dick is a huge threat, and even now Sengoku is not sure about defeating Whitebeard. Because Garp can't shoot, it's not enough to have 3 admirals with him. But it's different when Xia En comes back. He is tied with Kaido. He only needs to contain Whitebeard, the king, and everything else will be vulnerable. Obviously, the current 06 Xia En has instead become the key to the war. Marine wants to finish the public execution quickly and solve the trouble of Impel Down. Whitebeard and his gang were afraid that Xia En would be lurking in the dark, so they reserved the battle scene. Time moves forward a little bit. After Impel Down, Luffy and others left. Blackbeard, who was rescued by Shiryu, managed to break into the 6th floor. In the eternal hell on this floor, Blackbeard Teach laughed out loud, very rampant. Because in the cage in front of him, 4 big criminals have been decided to become his partners. Dai Peng, the huge battleship San Juan Wolf, the big wine barrel, the evil king. At the same time, he ignored the weaker prisoners and let them go out. According to the original historical trajectory, Blackbeard will ignore the legendary characters such as the Red Earl and Bullet, and rush directly to Marineford to participate in the war and profit. But this time, Blackbeard Teach came to Bullet's cage with a sneer. Heir of the devil, Bullet, thief ha ha ha, do you still know me? Having been aboard Whitebeard for decades, Teach thought he would impress Roger's crew. Unexpectedly, Bullet looked at him with disdain and said, "Who are you? It doesn't matter who I am, do you want to go out? Marineford is very lively now." Blackbeard was choked, a little embarrassed, and hurriedly stated his purpose. He wanted to lure Bullet and the Red Earl, all the powerful forces that could not be subdued, to Marineford, causing even greater chaos. In that kind of chaos, maybe he can hunt more powerful abilities. Such as Fusion Fruit, Momo Fruit, Lion Fruit. He didn't think that these big criminals would be safe in the Battle of Marineford. After all, Whitebeard is not easy, and Marine is not easy now. It's not uncommon to lose one's life, the worst thing is to have a backstab. Gee ha ha ha, what happened to Marineford? At this time, the voice of Golden Lion Shiki came from the depths. Since he escaped last time and was caught again, his limbs were all chained, and he never had a chance to escape again. War. Whitebeard versus Marine. How about it? Let's fight Marine together. Blackbeard chuckled and extended an invitation to them. They are all big pirates who hate the world government, so they must be interested in dealing with Marine. Unexpectedly, Golden Lion Shiki said disdainfully, "That's it. That guy Whitebeard can do whatever he wants, he's not interested." After being defeated by Luffy with the help of the weather, Golden Lion obviously lost his old arrogance and fighting spirit, or in other words, he is also getting old. HMPH, what's the old man fighting with Marine, it's boring. Bullet pouted, also looking disinterested. He just wants to get out, he doesn't want to be involved in the battle between Marine and Whitebeard, both sides better fight their brains. There was even an evil laugh from another cage deep within the Golden Lion. Blackbeard heard that the other party was unwilling to talk to him and was not interested, and then said meaningfully, "The Marine is amazing now, and there is a real monster, comparable to the Four Emperors, with heaven-defying combat power. Almost killed Kaido." Kaido. Bullet's eyes narrowed, and he turned around immediately. It's the boy with a very strong body. Even the Red Earl in the depths was a little surprised and said, "Humph, Kaido." Golden Lion apparently also remembered who Kaido was. But when it comes to the evildoer who can almost kill Kaido. You mean, Marine now has a genius who is powerful enough to kill Kaido? The chains on Golden Lion rattled and rattled. That's right, according to the information, that kid is only around 20 years old, and he joined the Marine less than half a year ago. From learning Marine's 6 styles to hockey, he has comprehended strange moves. Extremely powerful. Moonwalk has become flying, Finger Pistol has become laser firing, Iron Body has become an illusory giant, and the momentum of materialization has exploded, and the combat power has surged. In short, Marine is now his ace. This war there is a good chance that Whitebeard will be wiped out directly. You should know what will happen to the sea after Whitebeard dies. With an inexplicable smile, Blackbeard introduced the threatening power of Marine's genius. But after saying this, it really attracted the attention of these legendary criminals, but they didn't really believe it. Can you comprehend these weird moves from Marine's 6 styles? The Red Earl is a master of swordsmanship and body art. Hearing this, he snorted coldly, expressing his disbelief. Blackbeard, you want to play our calculations and let our combat power get involved in this war, right? Stop talking nonsense, you're not interested. How exaggerated. What laser and flying moves have been comprehended from the 6 moves? The Red Earl, Golden Lion and others are not fools, how can they easily believe Blackbeard's boasting? If it is really so powerful, there is not only Haki, Taijutsu in the world. And a young man who was less than 20 years old almost killed Kaido. Golden Lion didn't believe it at all. The same person who came out of the Rock's ship, Golden Lion knew exactly what kind of person Kaido was. Thief ha ha ha, it's unbelievable, but unfortunately, what I said is true. Blackbeard was not at all surprised by the attitude of these old guys, but laughed out loud, but what he said afterwards was convincing. Do you think I'm going to make up lies to cheat in order to deal with Marine? Is this necessary? Marine's new star, Vice Admiral Shaen, a strong man who is fighting Kaido head-on, now everyone in the sea doesn't know, that's why you old guys who are locked in the dark don't know. What Blackbeard said is true, so he is very confident. Golden Lion, Red Earl and others all changed their expressions, and they were really interested. These people are smart, so naturally they can't fail to hear Blackbeard's tone of determination. Hey, do you think it's true? Marine really has such an outrageous person? Bullet asked a prisoner who came in not long ago. Yes, it's true. Marine Vice Admiral Shaen now has a great reputation outside. In fact, this prisoner is only qualified to be locked up on the 6th floor. Facing a ruthless person like Bullet, he immediately replied tremblingly. He, then I'd like to learn how powerful the moves I comprehend in the 6 moves are. Bullet smiled strangely, motioning for Blackbeard to open the cage for him. At this time, the sound of iron chains colliding came from the cages of the Red Earl, Golden Lion and others, and it seemed that, they all stood up. Captain. To be honest, Lafitte and the others were a little afraid that these legends would come out. Open them all. Blackbeard signaled that there was no problem, and even opened all the cages of the Red Earl and others. Gee ha ha ha, Marineford is fighting, then go and have a look, old guy. The golden lion was unshackled, slowly floated up, and said to the nearby cage. In the darkness, the Red Earl did not speak, and as the shackles on his body were opened by Blackbeard's hands, a pair of scarlet eyes opened. A monstrous genius, then go find trouble with them. The battle for Marineford continues. Soon, Little Devil Ozzy enters the field, but is soon knocked down by Shichibukai. Marine resorted to frequent means, and even set up an iron fortress to trap the Whitebeard pirates in the inner bay. Taking advantage of the iron wall being held down by Little Oz, Whitebeard ordered to break into the square. With a naginata in his hand, Whitebeard, who killed all directions and caused an earthquake on the island, made the Marines feel terrified. And Sengoku's expression became more and more anxious, the situation got out of control, and the problems caused continued to expand. However, Marcos' assault drew Garp, who has been fighting, out. Heroic sailors came out and sat in the admiral's seat to restore some morale. If Xia En is here at this time, he can understand that the direction of the war is still going in the direction he is familiar with. Straw Hat Luffy sprints desperately to the execution platform, again and again, and even bursts out of the Conqueror's hockey to prevent the execution. Finally, with the help of Ivankov and others, Luffy repelled Garp, who released the water, boarded the execution platform, and rescued Ace. The objective has been accomplished. All retreat. Whitebeard shouted and ordered everyone to evacuate. The fiercely fighting pirates immediately separated from their opponents excitedly, retreating while fighting. And Luffy, Ace teamed up and happily broke through to the outside. Facing the live broadcast of the world, the whole world was in an uproar. Just when everyone thought that the war would end soon, the Whitebeard pirates successfully rescued Ace. Akainu Sakazuki, relentless 040 pursuit, sneers. Ace stopped and fought Akainu. This is the point of his death, for save Luffy, and sacrifice yourself to block Akainu's fist while everyone is horrified. This moment is an unexpected moment for everyone. Even the Whitebeard pirates, who were sweating profusely, couldn't do anything about it. Ace, Marco, Vista and others all stared at each other. Whitebeard's heart trembled even more, and everyone's eyes were focused on Ace, who was about to be hit by aversion. This kind of movement does not even have hockey on his body, how to block and defend Akainu's fist. If you don't die, you will be seriously injured. Suddenly, a fierce fist appeared, roaring and smashing down towards Akainu. The powerful armament hockey covered caught Akainu off guard, because he was also focused on keeping the fire fist Ace behind, and he didn't notice such a sudden attack from the side at all. Bang! Unsurprisingly, Akainu was hit by magma splashes and slammed into the collapsed building. Sengoku, Garp, Aokiji, Kizaru, even Whitebeard, Marco, Luffy and others were stunned. Seeing this tall and strong body, rough appearance, and the prison uniform on his body, he immediately recognized it. Douglas. Bullet. Sengoku couldn't help but growl a little. The moment I saw the bullet, I knew, Impel Down, it's over. Even he has already appeared, let alone others. Gee ha ha ha, how about it, surprise, Sengoku. At this time, a warship actually descended from the sky, and the golden lion was floating on the bow, laughing arrogantly. Immediately, amidst the astonishment on everyone's faces, the warship landed on the square, and what made Sengoku and the Marines even more terrified was that there were even Red Earl and the good guy on it. Like a cold world destroyer, Valder. Why did they all come out? All the Marines felt their scalps go numb. The people who appeared on this warship are all legends. It should be said that they are people who should never appear in the world again. Impel Down, is it all broken? Where is Magellan? How is Magellan? Sengoku's heart trembled, this encounter was undoubtedly fatal to Marine. He also hurriedly asked the liaison officer behind him. Report, I just received the news that Warden Magellan prevented the prisoner from escaping. He was injured so badly that he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. What? Sengoku was taken aback for a moment, and shouted in his heart that it was over. The main prisoner on the 6th floor of Impel Down ran out, and Magellan didn't know whether he was dead or alive, so the entire prison's upper and lower floors might be broken. Chapter 74. When the old era descends on the top, when the world is in despair, Xia En appears. Advertise here. Seeing these big prisoners escaped from Impel Down, everyone was extremely frightened. Doflamingo, Hawkeye Mahawk, Pirate Queen Hancock and other Shichibukai are all frowning. Things seem to have changed dramatically. Needless to say, Marine in Marineford knows the names of these people. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirates couldn't help frowning, but at the same time they were grateful that Bullet saved Ace. Even more influential is this live broadcast to the rest of the world. Because at this time, it was too late to cut off the live broadcast, and Sengoku could no longer prevent the truth from being known to ordinary people. The real-time live broadcast was immediately seen by the whole world, and even the news of Impel Down's accident was also spread. Impel Down, broken. That is the #1 prison in the world, holding vicious criminals from all over the world. These criminals appearing now have already made me despair. Bullet, that guy destroyed a sea area back then. Golden Lion, that's the big villain who's fighting Roger the Pirate King. The Red Earl. It's been decades, how is he still alive? No matter how old the characters are, they will always be remembered by the world. People like the Golden Lion and the Red Earl are legends to people all over the world. And he's a legendary villain. Even the Red Earl was recognized by the white-haired old man, causing a lot of panic. How many people looked at the live broadcast screen in disbelief and trembled all over? It was really because what these people did was too horrible, and they had a terrible reputation. But at this time, there was another burst of arrogant laughter at the Marineford scene. Thief, ha ha ha, it's so lively. Marine. Blackbeard brought Da Peng, the evil wolf, the evil king and other major criminals to the scene behind the Marineford fortress. There are more than a dozen of them, besides the partners recognized by Blackbeard, Badgers, Fanoka and others, there are also several bold criminals. They scanned everyone on the battlefield, their eyes showed fierceness, excitement and excitement. Because at this time, Marineford was in dilapidated condition and had encountered a war. For those who hated the world government, it was a war that they could only dream of. Dad, it's been a while since I saw you. Blackbeard finally looked at Whitebeard Newgate, who stood out from the crowd, and he was proud. You don't deserve to be called Daddy. Teach, you are a disgrace to the Whitebeard pirates. The moment Whitebeard saw Blackbeard, murderous intent filled his eyes. Teach is the culprit who not only killed his companions, but also plunged the entire pirate group into the war. Hee. Is that so? In order to save Roger's son, I sacrificed the entire pirate group. Teach pointed at the rescued ace, his words were not forgiving, and at the moment of pride, he directly sarcastically. Roger's son. Hearing this, Golden Lion, Red Earl, Bullet and other strong men from the old era were startled. I didn't expect to hear such a secret. Of course, it is no longer a secret now, the whole world knows it. So you are Roger's son. Bullet followed the direction Teach was pointing at, looked at Ace he had just rescued, and grinned 3 times. No, I am Whitebeard's son. The stubborn Ace will never bow his head here and immediately refute. It just looks weak no matter how you look at it. Bullet could hear the reactions of the people around him and Blackbeard's words clearly, and he laughed straight away. It's really interesting, Roger's biological son turned out to be Whitebeard's son. How wonderful would it be if he could know? Ha 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 ha. After speaking, Bullet laughed louder and louder, very mocking. Hey, Sengoku, it's so lively today, let's join in the fun. Golden Lion Shiki looked at Sengoku at this moment, and then made a bold move, knocking the surrounding marines into the air. Shiki, Garp, with bloodline flowing from his head, stood up from the ground where he fell, and stared at Shiki. Garp. The Red Earl and Golden Lion looked at Garp with different expressions. The smell of gunpowder gradually permeated and became more and more intense. However, with the old days of the Golden Lion gang, plus those big criminals brought by Blackbeard appeared. Everyone who watched the live broadcast went numb, and the more they watched, the more they broke out in a cold sweat. Whether it is the power of the kingdom or ordinary people, including underground forces, wandering pirates, etc., everyone can't help but feel hopeless. With the Whitebeard pirates and these big criminals, what chance does Marine have to win? It's defeated. The power of justice is about to be defeated. After the war, will the world be controlled by evil people like them? The pirates have strengthened so much, those big prisoners have all escaped from the prison, and they don't fight much. If you fail, the power of evil will be lost. What will happen to the world of tomorrow? The appearance of the big criminal alone is enough to hold back half of Marine, plus the Whitebeard pirates who could have fought against Marine. How can Marine make a comeback? This war seems to have come to an end. Those in the franchise countries can't even imagine what life will be like on the sea in the future after Marine is defeated. Ordinary people are in despair. The kingdom is worried. Some pirates have high morale, but some are frightened. Who would have thought that the public execution would develop into such a situation? But this time, Bullet laughed at Ace for a while, then rolled up his prison uniform, and scanned the audience coldly. Old guy, play however you like, I'm the only one. Marine, where is Xia En from Marine? Raising his voice, Bullet became aggressive and wanted to find Xia En in public. He was the one most interested in Xia En when Impel Down came out. With a heaven-defying talent and amazing strength, to compete with the 4 emperors, these are enough to make him Bullet have a strong fighting spirit. After all, he is a fighting madman. But after shouting a few times, no one answered except for the Marine soldiers who retreated silently, sweating nervously. In the end, someone from the Whitebeard pirates said, Marine's Xia En did not come. Not coming. Bullet's plan fell through, and he immediately felt very upset. Marine's new talented star is not here, so why are you driving here? The more I thought about it, the more I couldn't bear it, so I ignored the smell of gunpowder between Garp Sengoku and Red Earl, Golden Lion, and shot directly. One punch was a burst of air, knocking down the large Marine in front. Without Xia En, only these trash are left. In his opinion, no one under Admiral can catch his eye. The criminals have escaped, kill them. Gritting his teeth, Akainu came out of the rubble, covered in lava, and wanted to pay Bullet back. It's getting worse and there's no other way. Aokiji Kuzan sighed and stood up slowly. Kizaru looked at the low morale and was even afraid of the retreating Marine soldiers, and remained silent. Both the strength and the number of strong people have undergone tremendous changes. It doesn't look like Whitebeard's gang, but these are pirates, criminals. Undoubtedly, the unified goal is the world government. Xia En, if you can come here, maybe you still have a chance to fight back. Kozaru couldn't help but also look forward to it. Now even if it is a secret force, including the marshal, all shots are not far behind the opponent. But the three admirals shot, naturally to prevent bullet from crushing the soldiers. But at this time, Fan Oka, Badgers, Poison Q, Lafitte, Deppen, Evil King and others stopped in front of the three admirals and sneered. Thief ha ha ha, Marine Admiral, your opponent is not them. A gleam flashed in Teach's eyes, showing interest in the three-day general. He could tell that Admiral had already gone through a big battle. If he could also accept Logia's ability, that would be great. Seeing the strong Blackbeard group, Aokiji, Kozaru's eyes flashed fear. They knew that Blackbeard is not easy. And Akainu Sakazuki was furious, spit out a dead word one by one, and brazenly attacked Blackbeard and others. The other side. Bullet was like a hungry wolf rushing into a flock of sheep. Using both punches and legs, he defeated a large number of marine soldiers, and many of them flew backwards like cannonballs. Don't try to be rampant in front of this old man. Garp's shot. As soon as it came up, it was a collision between fists and fists. Bullet was immediately beaten and slid out, taking advantage of the gap. Garp, who was already full of anger, bullied him, and punched Bullet to the flesh. Immediately, the fluctuations of the battle between the two exploded, and the flames of war were ignited again in the square of Marineford. After watching Garp suppress Bullet, Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief and wanted Thunder to make a move, cooperating with Garp to take down Bullet, the heir of the devil first. But before anyone went up, Golden Lion Shiki stood in front of Sengoku with a smile. You two old guys are both at this age, and you still want to join forces to fight against the enemy. Golden Lion bit his cigar, and gave a reason that wasn't a reason. In fact, it is just adding to Sengoku. Shiki, get out of the way. There is already a golden light on Sengoku's body, and the Buddha form can be activated at any time. Do you think it's possible? Don't forget that your world government accepted my foot. Golden Lion pointed to his feet, which were already two long knives, and sneered. Then you wait to go back to Impel Down. The battle with them is inevitable. Sengoku has no choice, especially in the eyes of the whole world, must let go and fight. I'm not interested in your battles. Sora. The Red Earl has gray hair all over his head, his energy and blood are weak and he can't see the sun, and he doesn't seem to be in a good condition. But before Golden Lion started with Sengoku, he asked. He is the commander-in-chief of the whole army and will not appear here. Quote. Sengoku took a deep look at the Red Earl. But at this time, Blackbeard led his men to fight the three admirals, extremely arrogant. Hey, Father Whitebeard, don't be so stupid, Marco, led someone to counterattack. Thief ha ha ha, this battle will not end, the war must be carried on to the end, until one side is completely defeated. And the one who loses must be your marine. When the time comes, I will sink the naval headquarters, which symbolizes justice in the world, with my own hands. Despair. Blackbeard opened his arms and raised his head arrogantly announcing his purpose. Of course, that's what he said, but in his heart he was shouting to start a full-scale war quickly. If you don't start a fight, where will I get the chance to start? Hit. Sink naval headquarters. The marine officers and soldiers in the square were startled by these words. Marineford, which is their belief, has a huge symbolic meaning. With it, pirates all over the world will fear Marine. If it falls, the most terrifying period of the Great Pirate Era will come, and the pirates all over the world will have a carnival. What will it bring to the world? Big damage unimaginable. This is an unacceptable ending. But more than a dozen vice admirals and other soldiers were nervous and terrified, sweating profusely, and were frightened by the situation in front of them. Because the current situation has completely exceeded their estimates. There are so many people in the Whitebeard pirates alone, plus the strong people from the old era, Marine has no extra strength to fight against. Just like now, the huge battleship, the Evil King, and Depeng have teamed up to delay the three admirals. Even if it seems that the admirals have the upper hand, it will not be solved immediately. For the rest of the Red Earl, Bullet, once the Whitebeard pirates counterattack, will the powerless naval headquarters be able to withstand the devastation of these villains? For a moment, all the Marines changed their expressions. Li Jiao despaired. In front of live broadcasts around the world, people wept and prayed, either silent or with dull faces. They also have one thing in common, that is despair. Big talk. Bastard. Akainu was so angry that the magma all over his body was exploding, he blatantly sent Daipeng flying, and ran towards Blackbeard with a magma fist. Like a meteor bomb. But the current Blackbeard is still afraid of the attack of the ability user, and amidst the laughter, the black mist is filled. Dark water. The power of the rotating dark fruit easily swallowed Akainu's ability attack. Immediately, the three admirals were all surprised and gritted their teeth. I think it's a good idea, it would be fun to sink Marineford. Bullet was suppressed and beaten by Garp, but still had an unforgiving and arrogant laugh. Boy, this is not a place where you can be presumptuous. Sengoku's face was ugly, and his rational temper became angry. He turned into a huge golden Buddha, looked at Blackbeard coldly, and wanted to teach him a lesson. By the way, he took this opportunity to talk to Aokiji Akainu and the others. Gather together to deal with the strong men of the old era. However, the Red Earl stood in front of Sengoku with a single step. Empty, can only find you dead. Seeing that Marshal Sengoku is about to fall into battle, the desperate marine soldiers are even more overwhelmed. The executioner ace is rescued, but the war will continue. No need to think about it, once you lose Marine's prestige will be over, and many people here will die. Yes, very hopeless. The hearts of the Marines seemed to have fallen into an abyss. All of them looked pale and saw ultimate. At this time, Sengoku is about to fight the Red Earl. Xia En's voice suddenly came from the sky. Oh, Teach, you said you want to sink this place. Chapter 75 Xia En's name inspires all Marines, and one shot makes a big criminal. Advertise here. Xia En. Hearing Xia En's figure for the first time, Blackbeard couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Although facing Marine Admiral, a legendary figure, Blackbeard is very confident. But when Xia En appeared, he still couldn't help trembling, and there was a lot of shadow in his heart. Looking back, I don't know what is in the sky. The young man wearing a marine justice coat and holding his arms is looking at him coldly. At this time, a huge whirlwind blew towards the square, and the low clouds in the sky seemed to be coned in the middle, and they were thrown to both sides. This is obviously because Xia En's flying speed is too fast, causing the air pressure behind her to arrive too late. Seeing this scene, Blackbeard, Badgers, and Van Oka felt even more nervous for those who had experienced the battle at that time. As soon as she came out, Xia En's aura was terrifying. He finally showed up. Whitebeard's eyes froze, and his eyes locked on Xia En's body. Although the pirate group has retreated to the edge and Ace has also rescued them, the battle is not over yet. In fact, just now, Whitebeard really wanted to have a decisive battle with Marine, all because of the appearance of this young man, wanting to completely suppress Marine's arrogance. But now, Marine has top-notch combat power to join. Can it save the hopeless situation? It has to be said that the combat power capable of injuring Kaido is truly terrifying. The captains and members under Whitebeard, including Marco, Ace, and Vista, the frontline captains, all became nervous. He really came here. Could it be that he was on a mission outside before? Marco gritted his teeth, guessing seriously. Before, I always thought that Xia En was waiting in the dark, but now it seems that it is not. Bullet and Garp also temporarily stopped, and the Red Earl and Golden Lion all looked at Xia En in the sky with great interest. He is Xia En, he has a good momentum. Golden Lion looked at Xia En carefully, and smiled. From his point of view, Xia En does seem to have a bit of strength now, and he is also very curious about what kind of strength he has that makes the arrogant Blackbeard suddenly dumb. That's right, Blackbeard didn't dare to be the same as before at this time, and opened his mouth to mock, especially when he saw Xia En. It was obvious that his face was sweating nervously. I heard from 937 that when people like Blackbeard have this kind of reaction, it shows that this young man is not simple. One could feel an indescribable ferocity. Seeing that Xia En can fly in the air without showing any ability, the Red Earl is also curious about how he can float in the air. The various strange abilities they said are also true, and the Red Earl, who is very talented in observation hockey, has felt the huge power contained in Xia En. This had to make him start to be cautious. On the contrary, Bullet's eyes were shining, and he looked at Xia En with some excitement. Yes, very strong. Blackbeard is not lying. He will leave it to me in a while. The fighting madman's interest was fully raised, and he said to the surrounding pirates with a look of eagerness. If you choose him, then be mentally prepared. Surprisingly, Garp not only did not stop, but also smiled meaningfully. He has seen Xia En's promotion all the way, and he even knows Xia En's strength very well at this time. If he can blow Kaido's body to pieces, Bullet will definitely not be able to withstand Xia En's attack, and if he wants to fight, he will definitely suffer. Just right, the old man should rest more. Hey, finally appeared. Also excited as the Shichibukai from Doflamingo. Originally he was still on the battlefield, but when he saw Xia En's appearance, the whole audience focused their attention, and immediately ran to the side and sat down, ready to watch the show. Sure enough, you are very young, and your momentum is so strong. But, Doflamingo, are you so confident? Gecko Moria shook his body, observed Xia En curiously, and then asked again. There are quite a few strong players on the scene. The strongest man Whitebeard is naturally needless to say, but it is not certain whether he will make a move or not. But the others are not bad either. Red Earl, Golden Lion, World Destroyer, a group of big criminals brought by Blackbeard. There are legends that there are werewolves. Marine's original strength was indeed lacking, but now it's mostly just balance, right? Your layout is too small. Doflamingo just laughed and didn't talk to Gecko Moria at all. A monster who can become Vice Admiral in less than half a year and single-handedly injure Kaido, every day may produce a huge improvement. Who dares to say that Xia En will still be as strong as before 3 days later? Doflamingo knows this very well, because he has learned about Xia En's growth history. This is also the reason for choosing not to provoke Xia En or even to cooperate. At the same time, Empress Hancock's beautiful eyes are also observing Xia En, and observing the reactions of other people. She knew relatively little about it, but she knew from intelligence sources that the young man in front of her was very strong. The momentum at this time also confirmed the strength in the rumors. Especially when Mihawk faced him with great interest, as if he was about to make a knife, it surprised her even more. Even the world's #1 swordsman is fighting. It seems that the appearance of Xia En has brought an unexpected change in the situation. Hawkeye Hockey is not weak, even approaching the peak, and those sharp eyes can see the beast-like aura on Xia En at this time. He is also aggressive, so he naturally challenges. This is also because Xia En had a fight and came here without restraining his breath at all, so that the people below could feel the fierce breath at a glance. The expressions of Dai Peng, the evil government king, the evil wolf and others changed slightly. Firstly, they could feel the sharpness of Xia En's strong aura, and secondly, they could see the incomparable solemnity in the expressions of everyone. Including the pirates, all of them reacted differently. They are not stupid, so naturally they would not mess around at this time. Not to mention Blackbeard was in a cold sweat. The temporary suspension on the battlefield at this time can be said to be due to the appearance of Xia En, and great changes have taken place. Compared with the changes of the pirates, Marine will really feel the happiness, and there is a collective cheer in the square. Xia En Vice Admiral, you're finally here. We still have hope. They all saw Xia En's powerful appearance, and the group of Blackbeard who was arrogantly blocking Admiral did not dare to speak. Comparing with the 4 emperors, it is even rumored in private that Xia En is a new generation of marine hero, and his prestige has also received a huge response at this moment. Small power can still control the battle situation. Xia En's power is not just a little bit, although Sengoku is still a little worried, but after seeing Xia En's appearance, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. We old guys are all involved, and with Xia En's words, it may not be impossible to turn the tide of the battle. There is indeed a gap between the two sides in terms of strength. Sengoku, Garp, San Admiral, and Xia En. On the other side, there were Red Earl, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Bullet, Blackbeard and a group of people, many powerful criminals, such as Katrine Deppen. Coupled with so many captains and elites of the Whitebeard pirates, Marine has an advantage in numbers and is under great pressure. But Xia En's appearance really boosted the morale of the entire Marine. It's too frustrating to fight. Ace was successfully rescued by the Whitebeard pirates, and humiliated by the guys who came out of Impel. Each of them challenged the majesty of Marine. In the eyes of the whole world, if they don't fight back, it will definitely make Marine prestige. The leader of the world government credibility has dropped to freezing point. But Sengoku, Garp and others think that they can fight. The people all over the world and the forces of the major kingdoms are still worried, and they are not optimistic about the addition of Xia En's Marine. The Marines seem to have high morale. Do they think they can fight? Agbeat just has an extra top-level combat power, and it doesn't seem to have any advantage against those pirates, right? Don't underestimate him, he is a strong man who can hurt Kaido. But the other party is a world-class ferocious criminal, a legendary pirate. They are in groups, and the chances of winning are still not great. Now that Marineford can be kept, it is considered a victory. Marine can block this, and the prestige is not lost. Seeing the Marines on the square show their despair and excitement just now, the ministers in the major kingdoms and those from the underground forces are very puzzled. It seems to have the power to fight, but can it really win? Of course, besides these people, there are still people who can understand the meaning of Xia En's high morale. For example, Big Mom, who has been standing still, stared solemnly at the live broadcast, grinning playfully. Mom, why did Marine? Perospero hesitated to speak. Because, he is the guy who injured Kaido. Perospero, you don't think that Xia En, who can injure Kaido and is unharmed, can't play a decisive role in the battle? Big Mom gave him a sideways look. Yes, even so, there is Golden Lion, there is Bullet, they are all powerful guys, and there is also that outrageous guy, the Red Earl. How can Marine win? Perospero was really puzzled. Xia En plus Garp, the two of them are enough to stand up to these people you mentioned. And who knows how strong this genius can burst out. The injury to Kaido was surprising enough, but it was not his limit. Big Mom did not underestimate him, and even placed Xia En in a parallel position with Garp, which proved that he really recognized his strong status. Xia En and Garp are the top players on the field. This is like comparing Roger Garp of the Valley of the Gods back then with today. Let's take a good look, there will be even bigger surprises in this war. At this time, Big Mom, who was watching the live broadcast, saw Xia En in the field and started to move. Go back to Xia En's side. The surrounding Marines cheered loudly, and Blackbeard shrank his neck subconsciously, tensing up. But Bullet was in high spirits, he put down Garp and shot Xia En. As a result, Xia En completely ignored Bullet at this time. Marineford, but there is my home. Xia En stared fixedly at Blackbeard, her displeasure with him never diminished. This guy, who wanted to kill himself the first time we met, now wants to take advantage of the chaos and sink Marineford. Among other things, the assigned hut in the town of Marineford is Xia En's first house in this world. Immediately without hesitation, the first target was placed on Blackbeard and his group. The whirlwind swirled around, and the explosive power shook the entire area, and a larger and sharper aura covered the audience, making Bullet, who wanted to do it immediately, startled slightly, and his eyes gradually became dignified. What an exaggerated momentum. At this moment, Xia En was surrounded by arrogance, her hair was flying, and her breath seemed to be furious. This is directly entering the explosive state of Kaiwankwan. Everyone was a little shocked by Xia En's momentum at this time, and their eyes flickered. But Blackbeard felt chills all over his body, he found that Xia En's target was actually them. Get out. Before he could explain, Blackbeard Teach had already seen Shaen's finger lifted up, aiming at. Past their side, shouted quickly, and ran away first. Badgers, Fan Oka, Poison Q, and Lafitte have long seen the power of the magic gun, so they moved without saying a word. Hello. The evil king is still a little puzzled. Isn't their goal to hold back the 3 admirals and make other people make a fuss? And this guy just raised his finger, as for being afraid of this. Not only him, but the huge battleship San Juan Wolf also stood there a little foolishly. Shiryu of the Rain frowned even more. He didn't even think about running around like a clown. As for the remaining big criminals, they didn't join Blackbeard, let alone listen to Blackbeard's words and disperse. Xia En watched Blackbeard's erratic trajectory indifferently, raised her fingers casually, and the corners of her mouth curved slightly. I thought you were not afraid now. In the next second, Modi and Guangsha exploded in the hands of his entourage. The bright light beam pierced the sky, heading straight for the big criminals on the ground. Dai Peng, the evil government king and others who didn't take it seriously at first opened their eyes wide at this time, and hurriedly set off to avoid it. Lasers. Really? They heard Blackbeard say it, but they didn't expect it to look so scary. The beam thicker than the arm is oncoming, like a bright spot that emits light. Where they were, the big criminals were all shocked and ran away one after another. The San Juan wolves bared their teeth and wanted to run away. The light beam looked very bright, and its power might not be small. It turned out to be too late. No matter how fast Blackbeard ran, Xia En's main target was him. The light was on, and when he realized it, in the blink of an eye, there was no time for the big criminals to dodge, and even Blackbeard, who had left early, was almost hit. The huge impact of the Motong light-killing cannon fell from the ground not far from him, and immediately bright and dazzling light bloomed. In the explosion of fire, Blackbeard's body was covered with thick black mist, but he was still blown away by the power of the explosion, and slammed into the wall of the collapsed building. The same is true for Fan Oka and Lafitte. They are much more miserable than Blackbeard. Without Dark Fruit absorbing most of the power, the explosion at close range makes them vomit blood. Bumping his head into the pile of rocks. At the same time, big criminals like De Peng were also affected. They had no idea that Xia En's light beam didn't hit people head on, but its power was terrifying.